Chapter 1. Where am I? Why does my whole body feel sticky, as if I've been soaked in some liquid? By the way, go to work. It's time for you to go to work. If you don't wake up, you will be late. Then your salary will definitely be deducted by the evil boss who arrives at the door 10 minutes earlier than anyone else every day. What happened? Why are my eyelids so heavy today? As if they were sewn shut with a needle and thread, and I can't open them. Thinking of this, fear could not help but emerge in my heart. At this moment, a wave of unfamiliar information was poured into his brain in an extremely violent manner. It hurts. My brain seemed to explode at this moment. It hurts. It hurts. Giant dragon species, red dragon species, countless unfamiliar information is rushing through the brain. Real name, Augustus Pandora Cronos. As the last real name was engraved in my mind, the tingling pain in my brain slowly subsided at this moment. Dragon species, real name. What on earth are these things? Why do I make myself feel familiar, but also a little strange at the same time? The stinging pain in his brain slowly dissipated, and slowly, he remembered everything. He was left by his wife to work overtime until early in the morning, but because he was so tired, he almost walked out of the company building with empty steps. His whole person was in a hazy state and his consciousness was in a trance. Just as I was crossing the sidewalk, a blue sports car roared towards me. Then there is no more, and human life ends on that day. But it wasn't all that bad. In the short 1 or 2 seconds before his body flew up and crashed down, he saw the right wheel of the obviously speeding blue sports car fly out and hit the guardrail out of control, turning into skin fragments. But now I have been reincarnated into a whole new world. This world has magic, knights, adventurers, and all kinds of magical beasts, and above the magical beasts are the upper species. He has now become an upper-class dragon, a dragon that has just accepted the dragon inheritance. Sad? A little bit. But as a dragon, you always have to look forward. At least this time my starting point in life is high enough. After silently comforting himself, he decided to accept the current situation. From today on, I am Augustus Pandora Cronos, a red dragon who wants to live as he pleases. Let's let the past go. The inheritance just now was too rough, and a lot of information was not processed in time. With a thought in his mind, Augustus reorganized the information just now. This feeling is very strange. If I have to describe it, it is like reading a novel on a mobile phone. There are 4 types of dragons in the inheritance. Metal dragons that are friendly to life, gemstone dragons that are relatively neutral, and 5 color dragons that are evil and greedy for money. And he himself belongs to the red dragon of the 5 color dragon species. The 5 color dragon mother has always had a dispensable attitude towards the young dragon. If it were not for the restraint of the 5 color dragon god, the 5 color dragon mother would not even want to raise the young dragon. Even if there is the restraint of the 5 color dragon god, don't think about expecting more dragon mothers. Responsible. Under normal circumstances, the 5 color baby dragon can only eat the first meal given by the dragon mother after breaking out of its shell. This is the only motherly love the dragon mother has for the baby dragon and nothing more. Also, when the dragon mother breaks the shell, she will test the bloodline of the young dragon. Those who are not fully developed and unable to pronounce their true name will directly become the dessert in the mother dragon's mouth. This is the 5 color dragon, a giant dragon species with an evil and cold-blooded nature. Advertisement. As for the 4th dragon species, that is the legendary dragon species. Their bloodline is far superior to that of ordinary giant dragon species. They are born powerful and have stood at the top of most creatures since they were born. There are very few dragons of this kind, and the known number currently in existence does not exceed the number of 2 claws at most. But this has nothing to do with him as a little red dragon. After sorting out all the information, Augustus immediately felt a wave of sleepiness attracting him, and his brain became dull at this moment. Sleepy. Since he was sleepy, he fell asleep and his consciousness slowly sank deeper. Soon Augustus fell into a deep sleep. I don't know how much time passed before August's consciousness came back to life again. My eyes seemed to be able to open. Feeling this, August knew in his heart that this meant that it was time for him to break out of his shell. The eyelids covered with fiery red scales opened, and the pink eye mask opened, revealing a pair of fiery vertical pupils as red as lava. There was a layer of light transparent liquid in his sight, which was egg liquid. It was quite abundant. I sighed in my heart and opened the dragon's kiss directly, pouring a large amount of egg liquid directly into the dragon's kiss. The taste of the egg liquid is not unpleasant, and the fragrance is mixed with a touch of sweetness. He kept drinking until the egg liquid in the eggshell dropped to his neck, and Augustus didn't stop. The dragon's kiss closed. August raised the dragon's head and stared at the top of the eggshell with a pair of fiery red vertical pupils. Okay, it's time to announce your arrival to the world. The fiery red vertical pupils like lava shrank and soon became a vertical line. The strong dragon claw covered with fiery red dragon scales was lifted up and aimed at the top of the eggshell. Click! Along with a cracking sound from the top of the eggshell, many eggshell fragments fell down. Augustus did not avoid it, and some fiery red flames vaguely appeared in a pair of red vertical pupils. He is very excited. In this life, I am a red dragon, and this will be a new beginning. And now he's ready to take the first step toward this new beginning. Crack! Two strong dragon claws covered with fiery red dragon scales easily crushed the top of the eggshell, gradually expanding the only exit. It wasn't until the top of the eggshell was completely spread that Augustus stopped his claws. Standing upright in the eggshell, he stretched out his paw to pick up a piece of eggshell and looked at it carefully. The eggshell is about 5 centimeters thick, the inside is white, and the outside is covered with many fiery red dragon scales. You can tell at a glance that it is quite hard. Needless to say, the giant dragon species is indeed powerful. The 5-centimeter thick eggshells were as crisp as potato chips in front of him, a little dragon that had just broken out of its shell. This dragon body alone can probably catch up with most first-level monsters. The eggshells and the claws are thrown directly into the dragon's snout, and the texture is crunchy, indeed no different from potato chips. Lift the dragon's head again and see the exit above the eggshell. The back claws exerted a slight force, and the dragon's body jumped up. The round red dragon head crawled out of the egg first, followed by the body, wings, and finally the hind claws. Standing on the top of a 5-meter-high eggshell, before I had time to look at the place where I was born, an instinct of reluctance came from my heart, and my throat seemed to be filled with something at this moment. August opened the dragon's kiss. Augustus Pandora Cronos. Advertisement. Chapter 2. The roar of the immature baby dragon echoed in the cave and lingered for a long time. After roaring his true name, the unpleasant feeling in his throat disappeared. At the same time, Augustus also discovered that his birthplace was a cave. This is a cave, surrounded by darkness. The dragon species is born with night vision, which allows him to see very clearly in this lightless environment, so clear that he can clearly see the water droplets hanging on the stalactites above his head, etc. No, where is the dragon mother? Under normal circumstances, the mother dragon will usually stay by the dragon egg and wait for the hatchling to hatch. But why is there no figure of the dragon mother in this big cave? This is not a good start. The situation without the protection of the dragon mother and with the protection of the dragon mother are completely different. Augustus turned the round dragon head left and right, hoping to find the figure of the dragon mother that should have appeared in the dragon's nest. After searching for it, August's rotating dragon head suddenly stopped. 2 dragon eggs about the same height as him appeared in his sight, one white and one blue, both reaching a height of 5 meters. They stood quietly next to his eggshell. 3 colors of dragon eggs in a nest? Augustus was immediately stunned. It's over, it's over. The situation is obviously clear, and I already have the answer in my heart. The 2 dragon eggs, one white and one blue, actually explain everything. Although 5-color dragons in Estrus usually have a lot of fun, no 5-color dragon is willing to raise eggs for other dragons. They also do not allow the eggs of other dragons to appear in their dragon's nest. Once they find them, they will eat them directly as dessert. In other words, if Augustus breaks out of his shell, there will be no dragon mother. At this time, the difficulty of survival has directly increased from easy difficulty to hell level. Click. This sound. Hearing the sound, Augustus tilted the dragon's head and looked to the right. He saw a crack suddenly opened on the blue dragon egg. The crack was rapidly enlarging, and soon a blue dragon egg with sharp black claws appeared. The dragon claw breaks out of the eggshell. This is breaking out of the shell. Crack. Another sound came to mind, coming from the white dragon egg. The same steps followed, with a white dragon claw breaking out from the top of the egg, followed by another. Augustus, who was lying on the eggshell, watched quietly as the 2 young dragons broke out of their shells. Compared with the blue dragon claws, the white dragon claws look more plump. That's not right. He should be fatter. A round dragon head, one blue and one white, poked out of the eggshell. The moment the 2 young dragons broke out of their shells, they noticed the figure lying on the red eggshell watching them. But after just one glance, the two young dragons struggled to break out of their shells. Dragon body, hind paws, tail. 10 minutes had passed since the two hatchlings completely detached themselves from the eggshell. The two fully crawled hatchlings lay on the eggshell and stopped. In the next second, they almost reached a certain synchronization and raised their round dragon heads. The dragon's kiss opened, revealing a mouth full of sharp dragon teeth. Ange Gloria Freya Kalea St. Tyche advertisement. Two childish dragon voices echoed together in the cave. Just after roaring, the two young dragons lay motionless on the eggs, as if all their strength had been drained. Whoosh! In this silent cave, Augustus could clearly hear the heavy breathing coming from the two young dragons. This is a normal phenomenon. The shell of a dragon egg is very hard. For a young dragon that has just finished gestation, the only way to break the egg is to expend all its strength to try. If you can't beat it, it's a failure, and the five-color dragon mother will be treated as a snack. But when I first broke out of my shell, I felt very relaxed. So, am I special? But a cave, 3 kinds of 5-color dragon eggs, all of which are real dragons. This is definitely not a coincidence, but more like someone deliberately placed the 3 young dragons in this place. The thoughts in my mind were temporarily put to the back of my mind. Augustus glanced at the young white dragon lying on the top of the eggshell with a piece of his tongue sticking out. The next second, he looked away directly. The red dragon head slightly raised its head to look at the blue baby dragon, and his eyes directly met a pair of blue vertical pupils. From the very beginning, he felt that the blue baby dragon had been looking at him indifferently. There was undisguised vigilance in the blue vertical pupils, and he knew what the young blue dragon was wary of. She was just worried that she was a brainless dragon beast that would suddenly attack her. "Are you wary of me?" Augustus spoke directly. His voice was the most immature Shotean, soft and soft. The blue vertical pupils shrank slightly, and then, perhaps having rested enough, she lowered her dragon head and bit the eggshell. Seeing the blue dragon starting to eat, Augustus started chewing on the eggshell without saying anything. What he just used was dragon language, which is a language that only real dragons can use, which can be regarded as side proof of his own identity. There are always a lot of fights between 5-color dragons, but there are always cases where dragons are killed. Pointing at the white baby dragon lying on the eggshell, she looked a little slower. She raised her round dragon head, and her pair of bright white vertical pupils looked like she had pure blood. The round white dragon head looked from left to red dragon and from right to blue dragon. It wasn't until her stomach gave feedback that she followed her instinct and began to eat the eggshells under her body. In the dark cave, 3 baby dragons that looked like they had just emerged from their shells were all eating hard. Click! Chewing the last piece of eggshell in the dragon's kiss, Augustus raised the dragon's head. A pair of fiery red vertical pupils showed greed. These eggshells tasted like potato chips, and the egg liquid was extremely sweet. Eat them all. Afterwards, his stomach was only 70% full, and he could fall asleep for the first time, but August would like to eat more if possible. He looked maliciously at the little blue dragon next to him. As if he noticed the malicious look from the side, the little blue dragon swallowed the last piece of eggshell in his mouth without even chewing it, and swallowed the eggshell with his throat pumping up and down twice. "TSK, you were so quick to speak." Xiao Lan obviously had no chance, so Augustus could only turn his head and look at Xiao Bailong next to him. What came into view was that the little white dragon was already lying on the ground. His posture was like a lizard, for chubby claws were straightened, and his eyes were tightly closed. Did he directly enter a deep sleep? Doesn't she care about her current situation at all? It is obviously impossible to beat the autumn wind. He looked away from the little white dragon and glanced at the little blue dragon next to him who was full of vigilance. A wave of sleepiness also came over at this time. He was not interested in paying attention to the little blue dragon, so Augustus lay down on the spot. Eggshells and egg liquid are the dragon's first meal, and the magic power inside is enough to put the young dragon directly into its first deep sleep. During its first slumber, the young dragon will harden its dragon scales and gain dragon flames. If it's lucky, it will awaken its talents. Under normal circumstances, one talent will be awakened as a guarantee. Those with better luck will awaken 2, and those with better luck will have 3. The highest record currently known in the inheritance is that a young dragon wakes up from a deep sleep for the first time. 3 talents. I hope I can awaken a useful talent. With a bottomless prayer in his heart, Augustus also lay on the ground and slowly closed his eyes. Advertisement. Chapter 3. Seeing that the red dragon had no intention of starting a fight immediately, Anjia breathed a sigh of relief. If there was a fight, the red dragon would definitely be able to crush her due to its size advantage. Her claws relaxed and she lay on the ground, her dragon head hanging down. She is very clear about the current situation. Without the dragon mother, it is doomed for everyone to stay together. Since it is a group, it definitely needs a leader. As for who will be the leader, it must follow their 5-color dragon rules. The weak obey the strong. In a real fight, the red baby dragon is close to 5 meters in size. He is less than 3 meters, and Kalea is 3 meters. Even if the two of them combined, her chances of winning are not great. The final leader position must also be occupied by the red hatchling. With a red dragon's brain full of muscles to lead the team, how can he be hungry and satisfied? I hope I can awaken 2 powerful talents so that I can defeat this red dragon species. With a silent prayer in her heart, Anjia slowly closed her eyes. In the pitch-black cave, white, red, and blue, 3 little dragon hatchlings that had just hatched were lying side by side on the ground, sleeping quietly. At the same time, their bodies began to undergo some subtle changes. The thick eyelids covered with fine red scales were raised, and the inner pink flesh membrane opened to reveal a pair of red vertical pupils. Opening his eyes again, Augustus' fiery red vertical pupils moved left and right, looking at the cave that was already somewhat familiar, and his 4 claws slowly supported the dragon's body. He glanced at the white dragon and blue dragon on the left and right. They were both still sleeping and hadn't woken up. The dragon's body stood upright on the spot, and then sat down on the ground. 2 thick red dragon claws stretched out on the ground, and the slender red dragon tail hung quietly on the ground. Sure enough, sitting upright like this is very satisfying. The ground in the cave is very dry, which is good, but the temperature is a bit low. Goo! A voice sounded, especially clear in this quiet cave. He lowered his head and looked helplessly at his round belly covered with thick white scales. He was hungry, but there was nothing in the cave that could be considered regular food. Not even moss is visible. As for irregular food, whether it is soil or stones, dragons can eat anything. It just doesn't taste good, and it's not nutritious. He looked at the 2 baby dragons beside him. I hope you 2 can wake up soon. Since it is hunting, we must go together, so that even if we encounter a strong enemy, we can act separately. As for whether the unlucky guy will be chased, it depends on his fate. 3 save 2, which can be considered a good survival rate. There are generally 2 types of dragon sleep. Advanced sleep, in which various talents are awakened in the sleep, and the other is a literal sleep. As for how to tell the difference, it is very simple. Magic power will overflow from the surroundings of the advanced sleeping dragon species. The body of the white baby dragon is covered with light white frost, and it looks crystal clear and beautiful. From time to time, some purple electric arcs will dance on the blue dragon scales on the body of the blue dragon, and then disappear, which looks particularly mysterious. They are all still in advanced sleep. There was no thought of disturbing the 2 young dragons from their sleep. Looking away from the 2 dragons, August slowly closed his eyes. The moment I closed my eyes, many red threads were projected in my consciousness. Are these the forms of the fire element's magic power? Looking at these magic threads, Augustus raised his mental paws and reached out to catch a red thread. Warmth was immediately reflected from his paws. These threads represent the power of enchantment. Advertisement 123. I counted silently in my mind. 48. Wait, what is that? Augustus' eyes were fixed on a magical thread that exuded a glowing white light. Ice magic? It shouldn't be. Even giant dragons can only control one element of magic power by nature. If you want to obtain more magic power, you have to work hard to change it. Or do you think you are special? Augustus thought about how easily he had broken out of his shell. When it comes to things that he doesn't understand, Augustus will habitually put the problem back for the time being. This is his habit as a human being. Let's take a look at your awakened talents first. To be honest, August felt a little nervous. After all, it all depends on whether he will be the big brother in front of the 2 little dragons, or the little brother temporarily. It's easy to check your own talent, you just need to sense it. This is the instinct imprinted by the dragon's inheritance. Slow down and feel carefully. Talent 1, Flame Dragon Breath. Talent 2, Flame Gun. Talent 3, Melee Slam. When he felt the 3rd talent, Augustus sat upright in the real world and couldn't help but crack the dragon's kiss open, revealing 2 rows of full and sharp snow-white dragon teeth. Jia. 3 talents, and they are all his favorite magic systems. That's great. Before time travel, he had always had a dream of being a mage. No matter what game he played, He would give priority to the legal profession. Whether the damage was high or not was one thing, coolness was the real thing. Just play games and be happy. All of a sudden, the 3 legal talents have become a dream come true. After the excitement, August began to look at his talents in detail. The first talent is just like the name. It is Flame Dragon Breath. It is the guaranteed talent of every young dragon. There is nothing much to say. The second talent is a magic talent. It consumes 10 fire magic threads to quickly condense a 1-ring magic circle. In the center of the magic circle, a flame spear will be quickly condensed within 0.5 seconds to attack the enemy. This spear also comes with it has a penetrating effect and is the first choice for dealing with enemies with thick armor. Talent 3, Melee Slam, is more straightforward and does not require the consumption of magic power. This is a characteristic talent. The closer you are to the enemy, the more attacks you inflict will receive a bonus. The closer the distance, the higher the bonus, up to 3 times. It looks a bit like a melee talent, but it's not. If you hit the target with a flame gun close to your face, wouldn't it be triple the attack? So this is a perfect talent of the master. He, Augustus, is indeed a born master. Just when Augustus was feeling infinitely proud, the magic power in his body suddenly moved. It was the white magic thread. The white magic thread suddenly burst into a burst of pure white light. What's happening here? August looked at the pure white magic thread that suddenly lit up in confusion. The white light spread like a dye on the nearby crimson magic thread, causing the crimson magic thread to begin to move toward the pure white magic thread. Thread conversion. There were only 230 fire magic threads in his body, and this wave of light transformed 30 magic threads at once. Wait, don't. Seeing this situation, Augustus screamed in his heart. Of the 3 talents, the only one that was actively consumed was the flame gun, which used the fire magic thread. 30 unknown magic powers were converted into it at once. Didn't this directly make him lose 3 shots at once? Talent 4, Time Revelation. At this moment, a prompt suddenly came out from the talent perception, etc. Does this talent also have delayed awakening? Advertisement. Chapter 4. Perception will not deceive the dragon. He indeed has an extra 4th talent. Time inspired me, this name. No way, it's not really what I think. Dong dong dong. The dragon's heart couldn't stop beating wildly, and the dragon's blood in his body seemed to be boiling like it had turned into lava. Whoosh! In reality, August's breathing became heavy, and 2 flames spurted out from his large nostrils uncontrollably. This is a manifestation of the red dragon's extreme excitement. Talent 4, Time Revelation. This is the exclusive ability of the legendary dragon species Time Dragon. You can consume 30 magic powers of time to get the gift of Time Revelation, which can help you as a young and weak person avoid danger. Hey, the dragon is hit. The dragon is hit. Whoosh! August's heavy breathing was particularly noticeable in the quiet cave. It is actually a talent exclusive to the Time Dragon species. Opening his eyes again, August stared blankly at the ground in front of him. His red vertical pupils had spread to the extreme due to the shock, and they were almost turning into round pupils. Bloodline returns to ancestors. This is the only thought left in my mind at this moment. Not only did his blood return to his ancestors, but he also returned to his ancestors, the most legendary Time Dragon species. The Time Dragon species is born to control the power of time. The power of time will always be firmly at the top no matter what strength and size it is in. He is born noble and does not need any life to recognize him. Just the 2 words, time, represent its nobility. Now we have the answer to what the white magic thread is, the magic of time. That's right, magic. A bold idea was born in my mind. If he means that if he can convert all the crimson magic power in his body into time magic power, then can his bloodline return to his ancestors be greatly improved, and he may even become a truly invincible time dragon immediately? In normal times, dragon possesses legendary level strength as soon as he is born. He is different, but his bloodline returns to his ancestors. Therefore, he could only slowly purify his bloodline step by step, and take steps towards the complete time dragon. So what if you could convert all the magic power in your body into time magic power? 2 flames spurted out from the nostrils, and a pair of red vertical pupils condensed into a line at this moment. Just do it, and with a movement in your heart, you feel the magic thread in your body. All the magic threads are once again projected in the consciousness. Most of the magic power is still dark red, and only the small group in the middle is pure white. It looks like many red magic threads wrapping a small dot. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Spread all the magic power into the magic power of time. Spread it for me. It's coming, it's coming. August feels the magic power in his body is stirring. There's something going on. Move, get everyone up. Huh. 2 red flames spurted out from the 2 nostrils on the red dragon's head. The feeling of being about to come out also disappeared instantly. He sat down on the ground blankly. So that feeling just now was actually dragon's breath? I seem like a fool. Sure enough, no matter whether it is life or dragon life, I can't take shortcuts. Advertisement, forget it. Let's take it slowly and slowly. Recognize the reality clearly in your mind. Okay, now that I've finished reading the talent, it's time to think of ways to fill my stomach. Augustus raised the dragon's head and looked at the 2 young dragons with a pair of red vertical pupils. It seems that the magic power in their bodies has calmed down, which means that their sleeping period is over, but the reality is that they have not woken up yet. So this means staying in bed, right? Augustus felt a lot more relaxed after knowing that his bloodline had returned to his ancestors. This was not because he was arrogant, but because he was confident in his bloodline. He walked to the spot between the 2 little dragons and stopped. Looking at the 2 little dragons who were still sleeping, Augustus unconsciously opened the dragon's kiss. He also had a unique wake-up service for the little dragons who were lying in bed. Looking at this sleeping little dragon, the 2 dragons look round-headed and round-headed. Yes, they are both cute. The little white dragon is chubby and voluptuous, while the little blue dragon looks more delicate, like a small black cat sitting down. Then, it's time to determine who will take the position of taking charge of Dragon's Nest. The strong, fiery red right claw was raised, and the outline of strong muscles could be vaguely seen on the dragon claw. He raised his paw and aimed it at the top of the white dragon's head, and then at the speed of light, he also hit the blue dragon's head with a paw. Boom! Most of the white dragon head and the blue dragon head fell into the soil beneath them under this blow, regardless of the dragon's virtue. Ouch! With an angry roar, Kalea jumped up. Who dares to attack the great Lady Kalea? After finishing her roar, Kalea's pair of bright white vertical pupils condensed into a thin line almost instantly. The round white dragon head turned left and right, and finally its angry gaze fell on Augustus, because Angia was beaten into the soil just like she was just now, and now she was sticking her butt out, trying to get the dragon head out of the soil. I was struggling to pull it out. The soil in the cave is not too hard, which can be seen from the bright-eyed Kalea. She seems to have suffered almost no damage, and the dragon scales on her head look as smooth as ever. Augustus was not surprised at all by this result. He had just controlled his strength. For Kalea, the damage from this blow was like a tap on the human face. The insult was far beyond the harm. Did you sneak attack on the great Lady Kalea? Kalea locked eyes with August and asked. Just when Kalea just asked, Angia, who was sticking her butt out and struggling to pull the head out of the pit on the ground, finally pulled the dragon's head out of the dirt. However, due to excessive exertion, she sat down on the ground again and slid backwards for a meter or 2 before stopping. The moment the dragon's body stopped gliding, Angia's blue vertical pupils condensed into vertical lines. Her eyes were fixed on the red dragon, standing in the middle. She did not roar like Kalea. At this time, just let Kalea take the lead and let Kalea touch the talent of this red dragon. The best result is that when these 2 guys fight, both sides will be injured. When the time comes, I will definitely repay this red dragon. Great? Augustus glanced at the little white dragon in front of him with his peripheral vision, full of contempt and red dragon flavor. Damn red dragon. How dare you despise the great Lady Kalea? Today, I must teach this red dragon a lesson. For chubby dragon claws supported the dragon's body slightly close to the ground, bared its teeth, and let out a low roar from its throat. But because it was a young dragon, this low roar had a bit of a ferocious taste, which seemed nondescript. Seeing Kalea put on a fighting stance, for some reason, Augustus felt an unknown fire rising in Long's heart. Crush her with great power. Let her surrender to herself. A voice seemed to roar in his heart, and Augustus understood that this was his nature as a red dragon. Red dragons have always been a giant dragon species that coexists with arrogance and strength. Advertisement. Chapter 5. The fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Looking at the little white dragon in front of him, Augustus suddenly broke the dragon's kiss, showing a very cute signature smile for a 5-color dragon, and spoke slowly. I'm just asking you to get up. Of course, if you don't agree, you can call me back. After all, I'm standing here, right? There was undisguised arrogance in the childish voice. The fiery red dragon's head was raised high, staring at Kalea in front of him from a bird's eye view. Hearing these provocative words, Kalea could no longer hide her anger. "I'm going to beat you up." With a ferocious childish roar and a slight exertion of force on her thick hind paws, Kalea pounced directly on August in front of her. Facing Kalea, who rushed forward, Augustus had no idea of evading him. In a competition of strength, the red dragon species was not afraid of anyone. Not to mention that he is 5 meters tall, and Kalea is just a white dragon species close to 4 meters tall. His advantages are already demonstrated in terms of body shape, so avoidance is impossible. Boom. Accompanied by a dull impact, the situation was beyond Augustus' expectations. The huge impact force caused his dragon body to slide back 2 steps before stopping. How come? This guy is obviously just a white dragon, but he is so powerful. Talent must be talent. After being stunned, there is anger that follows. The dragon's heart became so hot that August himself didn't know when a pair of red vertical pupils condensed into a vertical line. A mere white dragon dared to challenge himself. Knock her out. Ravage her. The violent thoughts had just arisen in his heart, but his body had already started to move. The dragon's claws grabbed the fat, all-like white dragon tail, pulled hard, and then flicked it. Augustus didn't have much energy left in this blow. Boom. Kalea's dragon body, which was thrown away by Augustus, hit the rock wall in the cave hard, and spider web-like traces instantly split open on the rock wall. But the moment she landed on the ground, Kalea immediately got up again, her round dragon head swaying from side to side, and then her pair of white vertical pupils that had been condensed to the extreme locked onto August again. The white vertical pupils are full of the fierceness that a 5-color dragon should have. Ouch! With another childish roar, Kalea launched another charge. When she runs, she looks like a round, fat ball. August felt that he was in a strange state at the moment. Dragonheart was particularly angry, but his thoughts were extremely clear, as if anger and reason coexisted. The ordinary baby dragon must have taken a break from the blow he just received, but this white baby dragon seems to be fine at all. It seems that this white baby dragon not only has a strength talent, but also awakened a defense-type talent. 3 talents? You are truly worthy of the white dragon scales on your body. However, I am even better. Kalea has already rushed in front of her. This time her target is the fiery red dragon head. The 2 chubby front paws directly slapped the fiery red dragon's head. Although this pair of white dragon claws looks chubby and cute, when it was photographed, it made a faint whistling sound that cut through the air. Of course, Augustus would not let the white dragon succeed. He ducked to the left to avoid the white dragon's attack. The dragon body turned around and flicked the fiery red dragon tail, which was longer than the ordinary dragon species, towards the card like a whip. Leia pulled out. Snapped. The dragon tail accurately hit Kalea's side. The white dragon scale shattered, and some dragon blood spilled on the ground. The huge force once again caused the white dragonfly to fly backwards and hit the rock wall in the cave. But this time the spider web was 3 times larger than the last time. Kalea stood up again after falling from the wall. Advertisement dizzy. The round white dragon head swayed from side to side, and his vision returned to a clear state again. August quietly looked at Kalea in front of him, who slowly got up from the ground. Kalea shook her head and locked onto him again. This was an iron-headed boy. Even though the power gap is already so huge, they still have no intention of retreating. Or is it because I didn't show enough? In this case, let me, a white dragon like you, see the difference between us. Kalea, who got up again this time, did not roar and directly launched another charge. Facing the body of the white young dragon that pounced again, Augustus did not dodge this time, and the dragon body directly faced it. The 2 young dragons stood upright the moment they collided. The dragon's head faced the dragon's head, and the 2 pairs of vertical pupils stared at each other, and a pure wrestling began. In just a second or two, Kalea's body took 2 steps back. Ouch! Kalea opened the dragon's kiss and roared, and suddenly stopped her body and slid backwards. Augustus was also very surprised when he felt Kalea's sudden burst of power. This power was almost on par with him. Is this really the power that a white dragon can have? His eyes met the white dragonette in front of him, and Augustus saw an angry look in the pair of shining white vertical pupils. However, this white baby dragon is still a bit tender. Facing the white young dragon in front of him, Augustus opened the dragon's kiss slightly. The next second, Kalea's dragon body was directly out of balance, and her body was unstable and fell to the ground. Before she fell, Kalea saw the reason for her fall. The tail, a long and winding fiery red dragon tail, was wrapped around her. On the claws, this was the root cause of her collapse. The bright white vertical pupils spread slightly, revealing an incredible color inside. Damn it, this red dragon actually made a sneak attack. What about the promised wrestling? The moment the white dragon fell down, Augustus directly pressed his body up, pressing on the white dragon's back. You made a sneak attack. This doesn't count. The fallen Kalea grabbed the dirt on the ground with her chubby dragon claws and struggled wildly while shouting. Kalea was struggling hard under her, but Augustus didn't care about this. The dragon's body, which was slightly larger than the white baby dragon, was firmly pressing on the white baby dragon's back. He has the upper hand now, and the rules are dictated by the winner. As for the sneak attack, who said no sneak attacks? Bah, no, he didn't attack at all. This is a normal outcome. How can any serious five-color dragon follow the rules? Angia, who was watching, saw the white young dragon being pinned beneath her and suddenly became unable to sit still. She never expected that the white young dragon would be defeated so quickly. It's obviously a three-talented talent, but it can't beat the dual-talented red hatchling. As expected of a white dragon, it's really useless. The dragon's teeth clenched. Even if you can't beat him, you have to hold on a little longer. At least make sure for yourself whether this red dragon has a third talent. After only 3 fights, she was subdued so quickly that she didn't even have the chance to determine whether this red dragon had a third talent. It seems that we can no longer wait and see. If we don't take action, I'm afraid there will be no chance to take action. If this red dragon breed immediately adds 2 claws, this white dragon breed will definitely be destroyed. Although it is a little useless, it is still a white dragon with 3 awakened talents. With her, the probability of defeating this red baby dragon will be much higher. No, I have to save this guy. Thinking of everything in her mind, Angia's blue vertical eyes focused, and the next second she kicked off her 2 thick hind paws and rushed directly towards the red baby dragon in front of her with his back to her. Close, close. Seeing that the distance was only 5 or 6 meters away, Augustus, who was pressing on the back of the white dragon, turned the dragon's head fiercely and looked at the sprinting blue dragon with an undisguised sarcasm. He never forgot that there was a little old man watching next to him, ready to use his claws to pick up the leak. Even during the battle just now, he had been distracted by paying attention to this little six, and he still has a trump card that he hasn't revealed yet. The fiery red vertical pupils condensed, and in the next second a ring of flames spread out above the fiery red dragon's head. The ring was covered with various symbols that looked awkward and complicated. The flames condensed at the center of the ring at the moment they surged. A flame spear more than 3 meters long was released and locked onto the blue baby dragon. Advertisement. Chapter 6. Hot, dangerous, and deadly. The blue vertical pupils condensed into vertical lines revealed a look of fear, and Dragon Heart was also frantically warning at this moment. Angia wanted to control her dragon body to stop charging, but her charging speed was too fast. It was obviously unrealistic to stop all of a sudden now. The huge inertia prevented her from stopping immediately. The 4 blue dragon claws dug deeply into the soil, and even so, her dragon body was still sliding forward. However, the speed changed from fast to slow, and it continued until Augustus lightly bumped into his side, and then Angia's dragon body stopped. The moment the dragon body stopped, Angia raised the blue dragon head, and looked eagerly at the red baby dragon in front of her with a pair of crystal blue vertical pupils. Damn it! Damn it! This red baby dragon actually has 3 awakened talents, and it's also a first-level magic. Why did a young dragon that had just hatched awaken a ring of magic? This is so abnormal. Directly crossed the 3rd level. Also, this guy has a magic ring. Why didn't he take it out earlier? Even though she was roaring in her heart, Angia still acted like a cute and well-behaved little dragon. She was stronger than the dragon and would not lose the dragon if she gave in. Just wait until you grow up and come back. Augustus' dragon body is much taller than Angia's. She is only 3 meters tall, while Augustus is 5 meters tall. The flaming red dragon head raised high looks at the cute and obedient blue baby dragon in front of him. Pleasure. I am very happy. The originally aggressive blue vertical pupils had already spread to the extreme, and seemed to be trying their best to express themselves as harmless, well, very cute little dragons. But being cute doesn't work. The strong dragon claws stretched out and directly grabbed Angia's slender neck. The dragon claws tugged and pulled, making the white dragons lie side by side on the ground, and the dragon's body directly pressed up. Great, now I have 2 mattresses. Now that he was the most handsome boy in this dragon nest, and he was weighing down on the 2 little dragons, Augustus couldn't help but feel proud. Seeing that a friend suddenly appeared beside her, Kalea's struggling movements stopped, and she stared blankly at the blue baby dragon with a pair of crystal white vertical pupils. Angia looked at the stupid white dragon and felt a strong sense of humiliation rising in her heart. She had actually fallen to the same level as this fool. With the blue dragon head aside, Angia didn't want to look at the white fool in front of her at all. They have the same 3 talents, but the gap is so big. The dragon's teeth clenched tightly, and Angia also secretly became cruel in her heart. Hateful. I will always remember this humiliation and the hateful red dragonling. One day I will come back with revenge. Absolute. Seeing the blue baby dragon deflecting its head, Kalea struggled again. Ouch. You attacked me secretly. If you have the ability, let me go. Let's do it again. Feeling Kalea's struggle, August lowered his dragon head again and looked to the left, where Kalea was struggling. This idiot doesn't understand current affairs. Can't he just look at Angia? Look at how pragmatic people are. The next second, Augustus' fiery red pupils condensed. Since this idiot hasn't understood the gap yet, let me let her recognize the reality. The flame spear hovering in the center of the flame ring above the dragon's head galloped out. The spear was nailed directly to the ground in front of the 2 young dragons beneath him. Only 1 meter of the 3-meter-long spear body was left outside. The scorching heat emitted by the flames shrouded it, distorted the air in front of it. Stand up. I can give you another chance, but this time I won't hold back. The childish and indifferent voice of Shotai echoed in the cave. After Augustus finished speaking, he quietly looked down at the white young dragon who was pressed under him, waiting for her answer. If this young white dragon really has no brains at all, then he will give this guy a hard lesson. This time he won't hold back. Kalea looked at the flame spear in front of her that was emitting terrifying heat. The round white dragon head subconsciously shrank back. She could feel the aura that was enough to kill her from this magic. No more fighting, no more fighting. The round white dragon head rubbed against the ground and swayed from side to side. It doesn't seem like he's out of his mind at all. Seeing the white dragon giving in, August dispelled the magic directly. The ring of flames spread out in front of the red dragon's head dissipated, and the flame spear inserted on the ground gradually turned into red light spots, rising into the air and dissipating. Advertisement in the end. Only a charred black hole 20 centimeters wide was left on the ground. Staring at the flame spear turning into fiery red spots and dispersing in the air, Augustus looked at the blue baby dragon. Now it was time to talk about the current situation. Okay, I think we should talk now. I believe you have discovered it too. Ouch. The white baby dragon raised its round white dragon head and looked at Augustus. What is this red baby dragon talking about? Augustus. The white baby dragon's pair of bright white vertical pupils have expanded to their normal state, leaving only 2 question marks inside. August thought for a while and chose to ignore the white dragon's head and look at mattress number 2, Angia, underneath him. Angia was surprised when she felt the red dragon's hot gaze. She thought that this red dragon with a head full of muscles would directly drag her and by fool out to hunt. This red dragonling may also be special. Just like himself, he is born with the ability to control the violent emotions in his body and turn them into rationality. This red dragon species is very smart, unlike other red dragon species whose brain has been filled with muscles. In the battle just now, he seemed to have been on guard against himself, otherwise he would not have reacted at the moment of his sneak attack. Maybe you can cooperate with this guy, but it's only temporary. When you become stronger, you must beat this guy up and take revenge. With her unique talent, Angia is very confident. After thinking about it in her mind, Angia slowly spoke. We don't have a dragon, mother. The immature Lolita voice is extremely cold, nice and crisp, and has a completely different timbre from Grandma Kalea's voice. Ouch, what are you talking about? Kalea, who didn't understand the current situation, asked her sole question. Okay, that's very white dragon. Augustus and Angia looked at each other and chose to ignore this idiot in a tacit understanding. Since you also know, let me speak frankly, Augustus said, still ignoring the crooked Baishan next to him. Angia nodded silently. Only Kalea looked left and right. In this case, I propose to cooperate. At least this way our probability of survival will be greater. What do you think? Augustus was still looking at Angia, waiting for her answer. His strength is indeed strong, but without the dragon mother, everything is possible, so he is more inclined to achieve cooperation. After all, these two are giant dragons with real names, and they can't get anywhere no matter how hard they are pulled, so they can always help. Kalea, in particular, is capable of fighting but is also tough and tough, making her a natural human shield. Cooperate? This is really not something a red dragon could say. Although she was surprised, Angia knew that this was what she wanted. It is best to cooperate under the current situation. This red dragon species is obviously not prepared to use his strength to make himself and Kalea surrender, because he also understands that this is impossible. Even if the red baby dragon did it, she would not give in. If she and Kalea couldn't be beaten, why couldn't they run away? Okay, I agree to cooperate, but it's just cooperation. Looking into the blue dragon's eyes, Augustus gently moved the dragon's head up and down. He knew what the little blue dragon was guarding against. Probably because he was afraid that he would use force to force her to surrender. If it were a normal red dragon, there would be a high probability of doing this, but Augustus did not intend to do this, because even if he forced these two dragons to surrender, it would only be temporary. Why not cooperate sincerely? After all, I am a time dragon. When I really grow up, as long as I am willing, even the five-color dragon mother will have to stick her butt out to please me. Thinking of Augustus breaking the dragon's kiss, smiling, he looked at the two young dragons who were pressed under him. Since you have agreed to cooperate, let's exchange names first. Augustus Pandora Cronos. This is my real name. You can call me August. To show his sincerity, Augustus first told his real name. Their dragons were not demons, and their real names did not have any binding force on their dragons. Just say it. Advertisement. Chapter 7. Angia Gloria Freya. You can call me Angia. What about me? What about me? At this time, a voice full of expectancy came from the side. When they heard the voice, Augustus and Angia both looked at Kalea. Noticing the gazes of the two dragons, Kalea proudly raised her round dragon head high. If she hadn't been pressed under her now, Augustus would have thought that she was the boss of the dragon's nest. Kalea St. Tycho. You can call me the Great Kalea. Shasha. Hearing the sound of movement, Augustus subconsciously glanced behind him. On the dry ground, a fat, all-like white dragon tail was sweeping the dry soil back and forth. What a heartless white fool. Withdrawing his gaze, Augustus tilted his head and continued to look at Angia. The most important thing for them now was to fill their stomachs first. Just now, his stomach had growled again. If he didn't eat anything, it wouldn't be long before August felt that his sanity would be overwhelmed by hunger, and he would be left chewing dirt. We have just experienced our first deep sleep. I believe that now you are as hungry as me. I'm so hungry, August. Is there anything to eat? Kalea's voice became much lower, and she looked a little listless. After speaking, she lowered her round white dragon head. This idiot. Would you still say something like this when you have something to eat? Besides, if I want to have food, why should I give it to you? An idiot like me. I'm afraid I don't want to eat shit. Calm down. Calm down. This is an idiot. Just ignore it. After controlling his emotions, Augustus looked at Angia. Let's go hunting. Okay. Kalea answered almost instantly. Angia, who was next to her, silently glanced at the white fool from the corner of her eye. This guy really had no brains at all. It was obvious that the red baby dragon was planning to let her and him walk out of the cave to explore the way, but it seemed that there was nothing he could do whether he agreed or not. Even if he and the white baby dragon were added together, there was no way he could be a match for the red baby dragon. This red baby dragon was so strong that they couldn't resist. Hearing Kalea's agreement, Augustus happily broke the dragon's kiss, then stood up and left the two young dragons' backs, returning the two young dragons' ability to move freely. The cave is very quiet, but you can still feel the air flowing. After becoming a dragon species, your perception is completely different. Even the subtle air movement can be clearly felt by Augustus. Augustus raised his head and felt the flow of air. It's this way. Augustus turned his head on the spot and looked towards the front of the cave. The airflow came in from this direction, which meant that the exit of the cave was also from this direction. Follow me. As a reminder, Augustus immediately took the lead. Ouch! Advertisement. Kalea let out a soft cry, immediately raised her dragon body from the ground, swung her fat, all-like white dragon tail left and right, and ran towards the back of the red baby dragon in front of her. He stood up from the ground and looked at the figure walking in front of Angia with confusion in his blue eyes. This red dragon actually didn't let himself and the white idiot explore the way? If you think about it from another person's perspective, if you are the winner and you are in this kind of environment, you will definitely let the loser explore the way. What on earth was he thinking? Or does this little red dragon really have a cooperative mentality? It was obviously impossible to ask the red hatchling this question. Angia silently took out her paws to follow the footsteps of the two dragons in front of her. The hunger in her stomach was urging her crazily, which forced her to keep up with the team. Without the protection of the dragon mother, the 3 young dragons would be no different from those low-level monsters. Their situation would become very dangerous when encountering higher-level monsters. The bloodline of the giant dragon species has a fatal attraction for warcraft. It can allow any warcraft to benefit from it and undergo blood transformation to become more powerful. However, the power of the dragon species makes all warcraft fearful and dare not offend. But what if you meet 3 baby dragons that have just hatched and don't have the aura of the mother dragon on them yet? The answer is already obvious. The monster will kill the baby dragon at all costs and then eat it. Augustus walked at the front of the team, but most of his mind had already sunk into his heart. He silently activated the time revelation. There was no gorgeous magic circle, and there was no gorgeous brilliance. At the moment when the magic was activated, only 30 pieces of time magic disappeared silently in the body. You are in an ice field, and there is no existence that can threaten your life here. The revelation of time gives 2 messages, one good news and one bad news. The good news is that he is safe in this area. The bad news is that he is currently in an ice field, which is the area that is most incompatible with his attributes. Along with the howling sound of cold wind, a bright light appeared in front, which was the exit. It's the exit. There was a cheer from the white idiot next to him, and then Augustus saw a white shadow running out, and the fat all-dragon tail swinging left and right looked particularly energetic. August ignored Kalea, who rushed out. He still moved forward unhurriedly. The dragon's eyesight was very powerful. Even from a long distance, he could clearly see the white piles piled up at the entrance of the cave. Snow. Augustus was not too surprised by the appearance of these white snows. The revelation of time just now made it clear. But if I want to express my feelings, it would be a bit disappointing. After all, this place is an ice field. Angia, who had been following at the end, silently breathed a sigh of relief when she saw the stupid white guy rushing out. Anyway, it would definitely not be her turn to do the job of exploring the road with this stupid white guy in the future. Kalea had stopped in front of the cave and stood motionless at the exit of the cave. After getting closer, Augustus discovered that Kalea, a white idiot, had a pair of bright white vertical pupils that had spread to the extreme. The dragon's vertical pupils could clearly express the dragon's mood and spread the expression of happiness or daze. In Kalea's state, Augustus felt that it was the latter. Also, even for a white dragon species, it is extremely difficult to survive in this level of snowfield without the care of the dragon mother. At a glance, you can see almost any color. Even the endless mountains are all covered with thick snow, turning into snow-capped mountains. The exit of the cave opened on a cliff. At the entrance of the cave on the cliff wall, white, red, and blue, 3 different colors of baby dragons stood at the entrance of the cave and stared blankly at the scenery ahead. The cold wind was raging in the air, and the whistling sound never stopped, but fortunately there was no snow in the sky. As if feeling the cold, Kalea and Angia consciously leaned towards August on tiptoe. August was a red dragon, and the temperature he exuded was like a pile of moving charcoal fire. Even if it can be said that there is a pile of moving charcoal fire in this icy and snowy ice field. Advertisement. Chapter 8. It's true that Kalea is a white dragon, but she is just a young dragon that has just hatched. She has cold resistance, but not much. Under normal circumstances, the white dragonets will stay in the dragon's nest until they reach the baby dragon stage before leaving the dragon's nest, because only in the baby dragon stage will they have the cold resistance to move freely in the ice field. This also caused Kalea to look out at the white ice field with both longing and entanglement in her eyes. Instinct drove her to go out and play in the snow, but her body also reminded her that it was too cold. What the hell? Why did it become so cold all of a sudden, especially the left side? Augustus retracted his gaze towards Bingyuan and glanced left, only to realize that the 2 young dragons, Kalea and Angia, had been attached to him at some point. Are they treating me as a mobile fire? The flaming red vertical pupils condensed slightly, and in the next second the dragon body used force to hit the left and right, and Augustus knocked the 2 little dragons away with some anger. Go, go, go. Just because you are so cold makes me not cold at all. The huge force instantly knocked Angia and Kalea away. Angia, who was knocked away, silently looked towards the snowy field in front of her. What she did just now was completely subconscious and instinctive behavior. By the time he realized what he was doing, he had already pressed it against the red baby dragon's body, but there's something about that feeling. So warm and comfortable. Kalea, who was also knocked away, seemed to have no points. Her round dragon head faced Augustus, with a look of grievance in her pair of bright white vertical pupils. After knocking the bodies of the two young dragons away, Augustus glared at the two dragons fiercely, especially Kalea, who was like a big ice lump. How could she have the nerve to stick to it? Oh, I feel wronged. Augustus bared his teeth fiercely. Seeing the full white dragon teeth exposed in the red dragon's kiss, Kalea shrank her neck in fear. She couldn't beat her. After giving the warning, and making sure that the two young dragons would not shamelessly attack each other, Augustus continued to look at the ice field in front of him. Snowy mountains covered with white snow overlapped one after another. The ground was all white. Fortunately, there was no rain in the sky. Snow, otherwise visual interference, is also a problem. It's this kind of snowfield where no traces of life can be seen at all. So where should I find prey? Is it possible to go out and try your luck? For a moment, Augustus felt a little embarrassed. No wonder Time Apocalypse will give a message of safety. Safety, it must be safe. You can't even see traces of life in this ghost place. It really couldn't be safer. Russell, just when August was in a daze, Kalea and Angia once again moved closer to August. This time they did not dare to get closer to August, but stopped more than 1 meter away from the fiery red dragon's body. Down. Feeling the faint cold air coming from the left, August's pair of fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Is Kalea's big ice lump approaching again? The dragon's head turned to the left, and Augustus saw Kalea looking at him eagerly. She did not come closer, but stood more than 1 meter away from him. August hesitated in his heart and did not choose to bump these two guys away again. After all, it was time to discuss business matters. Let's get straight to the point. We need prey now, and I want to go to the front and take a look. Advertisement. Augustus opened his mouth and stared forward. They were currently on a cliff in the middle of a large mountain. Standing at the entrance of the cave, they could see endless mountains. There were more or less gaps under these mountains. Yes, the temperature will definitely be warmer in these gaps, and Augustus feels that the probability of life forms in these gaps is very high. Hearing August's words, Angia's eyes hesitated for a moment, and then she remembered August's behavior of letting Kalea explore the road just now. And even if you hunt prey, with this red dragon species, you will definitely have to wait until he is full first. It is hard to say whether there will be any leftovers by then, so the best choice is not to fight with this red dragon. Dragons walk together. The blue vertical pupils condensed. I suggest we split up, so that we have a greater chance of hunting food. Of course, I will come back and let you know if we find food. This way the prey we hunt will be bigger. You know, Augustus, it's not easy to find prey on this ice field. As if to make her words more convincing, Angia added another sentence at the end. Indeed, what Angia said was correct, but Augustus felt that if she really found food, Angia would most likely fill her stomach first. If there was too much, she might bring it back, or she might just hide it. This is the nature of the 5-colored dragons. They are selfish. Even if they agree to cooperate, they can only work together when their lives are threatened. But Angia was right. In this kind of ghost ice field, it is most efficient to search for prey separately. Well, that's fine. Let's just explore the terrain separately. Looking deeply at Angia, Augustus didn't say anything but tilted his red dragon head and looked at the white baby dragon on the left. Ouch! Faced with the sudden gaze, Kalea tilted her round white dragon head in confusion and stared blankly at Augustus with a pair of crystal-clear white vertical pupils. Augustus, we're going out hunting. What are your plans? If possible, Augustus would like to bring this little white dragon with him. This little white dragon is not Angia. She is silly and easy to fool, and she also has a defensive talent. If necessary, this will be a good meet. Shield. Kalea, come with me. Let's go to the back mountain together. At this time, Angia next to her spoke, and she directly extended an invitation to Kalea. Hearing Angia's words, Kalea stretched out her round dragon head and looked at the person in front of her, and then at Angia next to her. This red baby dragon had beaten him before, and he didn't like him. Hold a grudge, JPG. A being cut off, Augustus didn't say anything nonsense. A pair of thick dragon wings covered with red dragon scales spread out on his back. The total length of the pair of dragon wings was nearly 6 meters. It was very wide. The color of the dragon scales on it was already deep red with metallic luster. Huh. The thick dragon wings shook, and the strong dragon claws kicked forward. Augustus jumped directly from the entrance of the cave. There was no feeling of weightlessness. The dragon body started to glide from the moment he jumped out of the cave. The giant dragon species only needed to after completing the first deep sleep. You can control many of the instincts inherent in your bloodline. such as flying. The cold wind whistling in the air was like a knife. After flying for a while, Augustus felt that his dragon body was a little cold and painful. No, you have to lower your flight altitude. Realizing this, Augustus adjusted the dragon's body, and the two pairs of thick dragon wings on his back were half converged. The dragon's body swooped down towards the ground below at high speed and straightened the dragon's wings when it was less than 20 meters away from the snow. The dragon body once again slid smoothly. Advertisement. Chapter 9. Looking at the figure below that gradually turned into a small red, Angia withdrew her gaze and looked at Kalea, who was still stretching her neck to look down. Come on, Kalea. It's time for us to set off. Ouch! Listening to the howling wind and snow outside, Kalea let out a weak cry. Seeing the hesitation in Kalea's eyes, Angia's blue vertical pupils condensed slightly. If you're afraid of the cold, you can go back to the cave, but you should be an earth dragon in 5 hours. Earth dragons are generally used to describe dragons that spend their childhood eating earth. After leaving these words, Angia spread her dragon wings and jumped down from the cliff entrance. Angia had only been flying for a while when she heard the sound of dragon wings waving behind her, and it was Kalea who followed. What she just said was very effective, but it was so cold. After flying for just a while, she could clearly feel numbness in some parts of the dragon's body. Soon Angia made the same choice as Augustus, and the dragon body dived towards the ground at high speed. On the other side, Augustus had flown close to the ground for a certain distance and could not find any green plants on the ground. There was only white snow, but there was a rift valley in front. The rift valley ahead looked as if someone had struck the ground with an axe, with neat cuts on both sides. I hope I can encounter some life forms here. With hope in mind, Augustus fluttered his wings and flew into the rift valley without hesitation. As the saying goes, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. There is indeed less intrusion from the cold wind in the rift valley, and the temperature has suddenly risen a lot. But this does not mean that there will be life forms flying all the way here. The bottom of the rift valley is covered with thick white snow, and the walls are also melted by the snow. A thick layer of ice formed. Seeing the bright mouth getting closer and closer in front of him, August's heart gradually sank. Do you want me to be an earth dragon for a time? If that really happened, wouldn't he be the first time dragon to become an earth dragon? No, absolutely not. Whoosh! The red baby dragon flew directly out of the rift. The moment he flew out of the rift, Augustus straightened his dragon wings and stopped directly on the spot. The moment he stopped, August directly felt the magic power in his body. The fire magic power was still at full value, and the time magic power was also close to full value. It should have been about an hour since he came out. An hour? It recovers pretty quickly. Stopping and preparing to use time revelation, Augustus hopes that this ability can give him some useful revelations. Looking at the dragon body, he flew continuously for an hour. Even though he was a red dragon, a thick layer of ice had already condensed on his body, covering his fiery red dragon body like frost armor. But before that, I have to recover my body temperature first. Mobilizing the fire magic power in the body, a ring of flames gradually condensed in front of the fiery red dragon head. Soon a ring unfolded in front of the fiery red dragon head, and a 3-meter-long flame spear instantly condensed in the middle of the ring. August stretched out his 2 front paws and grasped the flame spear, then hugged it into his arms. Zitsy! Advertisement. In an instant, a large amount of water vapor rose directly. Enjoying the warmth brought by the flame spear, August's comfortable pair of red vertical pupils expanded to the extreme. However, while enjoying it, August couldn't help but think of those 2 guys, and the diffused vertical pupils slowly condensed again. It's so difficult for me to move around. So how are those 2 guys doing now? Kalea's words should be better. After all, she is a white dragon. But that guy Angia, it must be miserable now, right? Thinking of this, Augustus couldn't help but break the dragon's kiss, and the vertical pupils that had just condensed spread again in an instant. Yes, he was gloating about his misfortune. Kalea was fine and cute, but the little blue dragon was different. From the sneak attack in the battle just now, he knew that the little blue dragon was definitely a coward. And what Augustus dislikes the most is Xiao Laolu. He continued to enjoy the warmth of the flame spear in his arms for a while, until he felt almost done. With a thought in August's mind, the time magic in his body was consumed instantly, and the time revelation was activated. You are in the ice field and want to find prey to fill your stomach. As you move toward the southwest, you get an encounter. The revelation this time was very powerful and directly gave the direction of the prey, but Augustus raised his flaming dragon head in confusion and looked at the gloomy sky with a pair of red pupils. There is no sun here? How can I tell the direction? After pondering for a while, Augustus decided on metaphysics. The slender dragon tail covered with red dragon scales lifted up and dropped in front of him. South, south, north, and west. Wherever you point is where you are. The dragon's tail connected points in 3 directions in front of him, and finally stayed on the left. Okay, that's it. He released the flame spear in his arms and cut off the magic power supply of the flame ring at the same time. The fallen spear completely turned into red light spots and dissipated before it landed on the snow. The flat dragon wings behind him flapped vigorously, turned the dragon body August and flew directly to the left. At the same time, on the other side, a snow pit was dug out in a piece of snow. In the snow pit, a white baby dragon and a blue baby dragon shivered close to each other. Feeling the big lump of ice beside her, Angia wanted to stay away from the white fool, but the snow pit was only that big, and even if she moved, the white fool would definitely come close to her in the next second. After moving twice, she gave up and chose to endure it silently. It's not worth it to have a conflict with this idiot at this time. It was already difficult to just move forward, and it would be even more unwise to fight with this white fool now. After all, she had just seen this white fool's head in the cave. Although the snow pit was not very warm, the cold air accumulated in the dragon's body was dissipated little by little. Not fast, but useful. After staying for about 10 minutes, the dragon bodies of Angia and Kalea in the snow pit no longer shivered. Feeling that there was not much cold air left in her body, Angia unfolded her dragon wings and flew out of the snow pit. She was going to continue her search, find the prey early, have a good meal, and then return to the cave to sleep. This was already the 3rd time, and she no longer wanted to dig another snow pit with this idiot. Every time the snow pit was dug, the idiot would hug her up with shamelessness. Advertisement. Chapter 10. After flying straight to the left for about an hour, Augustus couldn't see a single weed, let alone prey. Except for the towering peaks, there was only white snow in his sight. This ice field seemed to have no end. It's really hard to find something to eat in this damn place. Augustus silently complained in his heart and flattened a pair of thick dragon wings, and the dragon body stopped on the spot. The dragon's body has been covered with another layer of frost armor, and it's time to rest again. The flame ring unfolded, and he stretched out his claws to directly pull the flame spear into his arms and hug him. Zizi. The steam rose again. While enjoying the comfort brought by the flame spear, he felt how much time magic had been restored in his body. It's full, which means you can use time revelation again. The red dragon head raised its head and looked forward, and what came into view was still the endless white snowfield. I have been flying in this direction continuously for more than an hour. As expected, I must not be flying in the right direction. But it's okay. If it's not right once, then do it again. With a thought, the time magic power that was about to be fully restored in the body bottomed out again in an instant, and the new revelation content was directly passed on to the mind. You can't find your direction in the ice field, so you missed the encounter. Now fly straight in the direction of the dragon wing on your right for 20 minutes, and you will encounter another encounter. The dragon wing on the right? The dragon's head turned to the right, and Augustus looked in the direction of the dragon wing on his right. This direction? Goo. My stomach made another protest sound at this time. After continuing to enjoy it for a while, until all the cold air in the dragon's body was driven away, a thought came to his mind. The ring of flames in front of the dragon's head dissipated directly, and the flame spear in his arms also dissipated at the same time. The revelation this time is very clear. I won't miss it this time. Suppressing the annoyance arising from hunger in his heart, the pair of dragon wings on his back flapped, and Augustus turned the dragon's body and flew straight towards the right wing. Everything is almost as revealed. After flying for about 20 minutes, many small black dots appeared on the ice field in front of them, slowly moving forward. Seeing this scene, Augustus instantly felt his dragon heart getting slightly hot. Finally, I finally found something to eat. With excitement, Augustus flapped his dragon wings a few minutes faster, and his flying speed doubled again, directly increasing to the maximum flying speed he could currently achieve. Soon August was flying above these creatures. He didn't feel much at first, but it wasn't until he flew closer that Augustus was dumbfounded. The food seemed a bit too big. The largest one is nearly 20 meters tall, like a mobile fortress, but it is the only one of this size. If they were all of this size, August would turn around and leave without hesitation. because the magic power emitted by this 20-meter tall guy is very high and has reached the level of 3 rings, which means that he is at least a 3-ring monster. This is a herd of beasts. The number is not very large, only about 100. The average size looks like 10 meters, and most of them are around 10 to 15 meters. These creatures look very much like mammoths, almost the same in appearance, but their fur is dark gray, with some ice blue ice crystal spikes growing on their backs. Next to their trunks there are 2 tusks. One pair is very long and one pair is very short. The spikes at the ends of these 2 tusks are ice blue, and like the ice crystal spikes on their backs, they both emit ice-attributed magic waves. Advertisement: this is a group of ice monsters. Looking at the moving herd of ice elephants on the ground, Augustus began to feel troubled. Most of these adult monsters were at the 2nd level. Not only were they difficult to kill, but even if they could be killed, it seemed difficult to take them away. This kind of monster group will definitely not watch a member of the group being taken away by a predator, unless it is facing an opponent that cannot resist. Damn it. It's so hard to find something to eat in a ghost place like this. Why should we just give up? Isn't this time revelation unreliable? What about the promised encounter? That's it? It seems like I can't win either. At this moment, a little guy ran out from the crotch of an adult ice elephant below. The little guy was a baby elephant. He looked only about 4 meters tall. He was very small, with a pair of ice blue eyes twinkling with longing for this world. But soon an adult ice elephant next to him shook his long trunk and pushed the baby directly back to the female elephant's crotch. And this scene happened to be all seen by Augustus. A pair of fiery red vertical pupils instantly spread with joy. This is really another village where everything is bright and clear. Jia. Time has revealed that sincerity never deceives the dragon. This is truly a perfect encounter. Now he really has nothing to do with these adult ice elephants. But if it is just a small ice elephant, Jia. The dragon's kiss couldn't help but split open. At this moment, the ice elephant king, who was walking at the front of the team, suddenly stopped. It raised its head and stared at the flying monster in the sky. The ice elephant cub that just ran out of the group had obviously been discovered. Now as the king, it has to be done. A burst of strong ice elemental magic suddenly erupted on the ground, gathering rapidly. Danger. Driven by instinct, Augustus vigorously flapped his pair of dragon wings, and the dragon body tried its best to climb upwards. But it was still too late. The ice on the backs of all the adult ice elephants below had already lit up with blue light. The next second, ice cones like a rainstorm were launched directly into the sky. As a targeted target, Augustus had already risen to a high enough height. Before the icicle rain even touched the dragon's body, he fell powerlessly to the ground again. After rising to a sufficient height, the dragon's wings spread out, and August looked down at the small black spot below with some pride. August. Oh, hashtag. You're stupid. I can fly. Call out. At this moment, a sound broke through the air. The moment he heard the sound, Augustus instinctively deflected the dragon wings. Poof! The next second, there was a tingling sensation from the dragon wing on the right. Turning his head and looking over, he saw that there was a blood hole pierced through on the dragon wing on the right. The dragon's blood was instantly frozen by the cold air attached to the ice pick before the dragon's blood had time to spill, and the frost also appeared to spread. This blow was originally meant to hit the heart, but because of Augustus's instinctive reaction, he avoided this blow that should have been fatal. Looking at the puncture wound on the dragon wing, Augustus opened the dragon's kiss without hesitation and spit out a breath of hot dragon breath that fell directly on the dragon wing. The frost was instantly destroyed, and at the same time, the punctured wound stopped bleeding instantly and appeared charcoal-like. After treating the wound, Augustus lowered his head and stared at the group of ice elephants below with a pair of vertical pupils that had condensed into vertical lines. Augustus is determined to eat the ice elephant meat today. After suppressing the rising anger in his heart and regaining his composure, Augustus began to continue thinking. Just now he had paid a price for his arrogance. This was not a game. The pain on the right dragon wing was also alerting him all the time. On the ground, the ice elephant king raised his head and looked at the flying monsters in the sky with a pair of ice blue round pupils. He was also very strange. In the past, these flying monsters would fall immediately as long as they were hit by him. Why did he do this today? It just seems a little different. Advertisement. Chapter 11. The ice elephant king looked away from the flying monster that was still falling in the sky and continued to look forward. Although I don't understand why this flying monster doesn't fall, the migration of the tribe cannot be delayed. The tribe has already consumed its magic power once because of this flying monster. If it does not arrive at the next habitat within the specified time, then the number of members of their tribe will be reduced, which will also be its dereliction of duty as the king. Boom! The Ice Elephant King stepped forward, and his huge body made every step he took very loud. At the same time, the Ice Elephant King walking in front also used his size to carve out a passage for the group in the deep snow. Seeing the king moving forward again, the Ice Elephant group immediately followed the king's footsteps in an orderly manner. Having the king open the snow path in front can greatly save the physical strength of the entire elephant herd. In the sky, August stared at the group of ice elephants that had moved forward again, his fiery red eyes slightly condensed. He was determined to eat the ice elephant meat today. Of course, it is obviously impossible to confront him head-on. The Ice Elephant King alone is not an opponent he can defeat now, not to mention the entire ice elephant group. Since it can't be done from the front, it can only be done from the side or even the back. The flaming dragon's head was slightly raised, and he looked towards the direction of the elephant herd. These elephants were advancing along the valley, and there were no forks in the road ahead, only one route through the valley. If these ice elephants want to change their route, it means they need to climb over a mountain. This is too physically demanding, and the higher the mountain, the colder the temperature. Those are just ordinary beasts, with no ice on their backs. The little ice elephant that grows up will definitely not be able to bear it. Therefore, the ice elephant herd will definitely not change its route. They will always move along this route at the bottom of the valley. Thinking of this, the dragon's kiss split involuntarily. Now that the route these guys take is fixed, things are much simpler. He has already thought about how to hunt a delicious little ice elephant. Flapping the dragon wings on his back, Augustus began to raise his flying height until the ice elephants below could no longer notice him. Of course, this does not come without any cost. Feeling the cold air beginning to gather in the dragon's body, Augustus could almost guess that frost armor must have condensed on his dragon body without looking at him. Patience, patience. Only by being patient can you eat the delicious little ice elephant. While secretly thinking about the little ice elephant just now, I endured the flight. Fortunately, such a flight did not need to last long. After flying forward for a while, he flew to the back of a mountain peak. With the help of the cover of the mountain peak, Augustus quickly buried his head and dived quickly towards the snow below. While falling, the dragon's body spun around in a circle, throwing off the thick frost armor condensed on its body. As he approached the ground, Augustus restrained his pair of dragon wings and plunged deeply into the thick snow. After plunging into the thick snow until it reached the lowest point, Augustus waved his slender and sinuous fiery red dragon tail and threw it heavily on the snow layer. In an instant, the snow hole he had just hit collapsed directly, and the thick snow covered the dragon's body. The snow layer has also returned to calm, and the camouflage is complete. Boom! The Ice Elephant King, who was walking at the front of the team, looked around with a pair of ice-blue round pupils at all times. As he moved forward, he was always alert to predators that might be hiding. Under the snow, almost as soon as he heard the dull footsteps, Augustus, who was lying on the ground covered with thick snow, immediately slowly opened a pair of thick eyelids and stared quietly through the snow with a pair of red vertical pupils. Ahead. Coming. If nothing else, the person walking in the front must be the Ice Elephant King. He must be allowed to pass first. The target of this hunting is the ice elephant at the rear of the team. Advertisement. The numbness of perception spread to the maximum at this moment. Even if he couldn't see it, Augustus could feel that the entire elephant herd outside was moving forward. Each ice elephant is perceived as a group of moving ice elements. The largest group is the Ice Elephant King walking in the front, followed by ordinary adult ice elements, and then those standing under the adult ice elephant. Baby elephants only have thin ice elements in their bodies, and their color is also very light. Boom! Listening to the dull footsteps disappearing, Augustus suppressed his inner excitement. Very good. The first step has been successful. The Ice Elephant King did not notice himself, which also means that the plan is half successful. Under the snow, a red baby dragon lay quietly under the snow. A pair of fiery red vertical pupils had already condensed into vertical lines, serious and focused. The herds of elephants passed in front of him one by one, and August suppressed the surging desire to hunt in his heart. Even if a small ice elephant broke away from the group and ran to the snow where he was hiding, he still endured it. If the timing is wrong, if the baby elephant is in the middle of the hunting team, he will be the first to be targeted, and whether he can escape by then will become an unknown question. The little ice elephant that broke away from the group was quickly driven back into the group by the extended trunk of an adult ice elephant from behind, just waiting silently. It was not until the last of the ice elephants passed through the snow. Under the snow, Augustus was already ready to go. A pair of strong hind paws kicked into the frozen soil, ready to exert force at any time. In the perception, the last big blue dumpling passed by with the small blue dumpling. It's now. The back claws exerted force, and the strong dragon body broke through the snow layer in an instant. In the flying white snow, Augustus' eyes instantly locked on the little ice elephant standing under the crotch of the adult ice elephant. There would be a predator hidden under the snow. This was something that no ice elephant had expected, including the little ice elephant. By the time he reacted, Augustus had already pounced in front of him. The open dragon kiss bit the little ice elephant's neck. Augustus didn't hold anything back in this mouthful, and he even used the talent of melee punch. The sharp dragon teeth were like cutting tofu, cutting off the little ice elephant's neck almost instantly. A round little ice elephant head fell on the snow, and the blood spurting out instantly dyed the snow red. Feeling the faint warm and sweet smell coming from the dragon's kiss, Augustus took a few sips, and the coldness in his body was instantly dissipated with the addition of this warm blood. But now is not the time for savoring. The open dragon kiss bites the lower half of the little ice elephant, and the 4 dragon claws are deeply dug into the flesh and blood of the trophy. A pair of dragon wings covered with red dragon scales spread out and flap behind it. He instantly broke away from the ground and rushed into the sky. Chi-chi, a deafening roar sounded from below. Without looking back, Augustus flapped his dragon wings even harder the moment he heard the sound. As long as he leaves a certain range, no matter how angry these ice elephants are, they can't do anything to him. Whoosh! At this time, there was a sharp sound breaking through the air from behind. Augustus adjusted his flying posture and brought the ice elephant in his arms in front of him. The dragon body made a downward dive, and the dragon wings behind it folded up, begins free fall toward the ground. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of the ice pick piercing into the flesh was heard several times in succession, but it was not pierced into August's body, but into the already dead baby elephant. Augustus, who was in free fall, glanced at the 4 ice picks stuck on the baby elephant's body and felt extremely happy. Fortunately, I have this human shield, otherwise I might have ended up here today. There were no more ice picks, the dragon wings spread out again, and Augustus instantly stopped free falling and continued to fly forward. The distance was getting farther and farther, and the ice elephant group on the ground could only watch, but no matter how much they roared, they had to accept the reality that the group had lost a cub. Advertisement. Chapter 12. Even if you want to pursue him, you have to be able to catch up, and for the sake of the entire clan, the Ice Elephant King will definitely not allow this to happen. Chi-chi. With the roar of the Ice Elephant King, the Ice Elephant group could only retract their unwilling eyes and continue to move forward according to the king's order. In the sky, Augustus waved the dragon wings vigorously. He couldn't wait to eat. He was so satisfied that at this moment, he even felt that the wounds on the dragon wings no longer hurt. Follow the smell and fly in the direction you came from. After flying for about 2 hours, Augustus finally saw the cave entrance on the cliff in front of him. He stirred up his strength and released his claws the moment he flew into the cave entrance, letting the little elephant's body fall to the ground and slide out. It's already cool enough anyway, so it won't hurt if it falls. Wait, why can't the wings be folded? Augustus glanced at the wings and saw that a thick layer of frost armor had condensed on them. It was stiff. But this didn't bother him, Augustus, who grabbed the 4 dragon claws directly into the rock formation when they approached the ground. Zila! The dragon's claws rubbed against the rocks, making a harsh sound and causing sparks to fly. Just like this, the dragon body slid against the ground for about 10 meters before slowly stopping. Slowly, the dragon body stopped. Augustus turned the dragon body on the spot and looked forward. For ravines of about 10 meters drawn by the dragon's claws came into clear view. These ravines looked very smooth, as if they were generally cut by machine. After gliding so far, his claws won't be damaged, right? Lowering the dragon's head, Augustus quickly raised his front paws and took a look. The claws that had just experienced friction still looked dark, and nowhere could be seen. Seeing this, Augustus was relieved. Fortunately, the claws were not broken. It would have been great fun if the claws were broken. This is what he will use to eat in the future. Goo! At this time, my stomach protested again. This time it was a direct sound, and it was not small. He looked at the headless little ice elephant that fell on the ground not far ahead. His red vertical pupils suddenly showed a strong appetite, and he moved his paws. It was time for a full meal. As he walked, Augustus slightly twitched the two large nostrils on the dragon's head. The scent of Kalea and Angia in the dragon's lair has faded. It seems that they have not returned yet, and it is not known whether they have found the prey. But I guess I didn't find the prey. Thinking of this, Augustus couldn't help but break the dragon's kiss with pleasure. He stopped in front of the little elephant, opened the dragon's kiss, and took a bite. The body of the baby elephant is already hard. One bite is no different from eating frozen meat. It is very hard, but it is still nothing in front of the sharp dragon teeth. Augustus, chew him, how should I put it? The taste is a bit strange, like a smoothie, but the texture is okay and delicious. He swallowed the meat in the dragon's kiss with 2 puffs of his throat, then continued to bite down. At the same time, Angia and Kalea, who had been flying for about 3 hours, also found their harvest. Advertisement: a cave entrance appeared in front of the 2 dragons. Angia, there's a hole in front of you. There was obvious excitement in Kalea's voice. After 3 hours, she finally found something different. Hearing Kalea's shout, Angia silently slowed down the flapping of her dragon wings and suddenly landed behind Kalea. Yeah, I saw it too. Looking at the cave entrance that appeared on the ground not far ahead, Kalea sniffed hard with the big nostrils on the round dragon head. The next second, her bright white vertical pupils spread slightly. It was a cave. It smells like food inside. The bright white vertical pupils blinked twice quickly. Angia, I smell food. After saying that, Kalea couldn't wait to flap her dragon wings. She was already flying in front of Angia, and she immediately opened a large distance from Angia. Angia, who was following behind, flapped her dragon wings slowly and silently, hanging behind Kalea. This white fool was right. The aura exuded from this kind of cave was very mixed, and there were creatures in it. It is certain that they exist, but it may not be food but hunters like them. Kalea, who was flying ahead, didn't think much at all. She flew over the cave and immediately dived towards the cave. Now she just wants to fill her stomach. Anything is fine, as long as it can fill her stomach. Flying above the cave, Angia spread out a pair of blue dragon wings and stopped. He waited quietly like this for a while, and after making sure that there was no sound of fighting coming from the cave, he folded his dragon wings and swooped down towards the cave. The exit of this cave is on a sloping slope, all the way down to the depths. Following the white shadow in front of me, I flew like this for about 10 minutes. There were almost no changes on both sides of the cave, and it was still very spacious. At this moment, there was a bright light coming from the front. Feeling the presence of the bright light, Kalea, who had been flying in front, flapped a pair of chubby white dragon wings with all her strength. Kalea stopped and placed the moment she flew out of the bright light, her pair of bright white vertical pupils staring blankly at everything in front of her. This is a larger underground cave. The temperature inside the cave is very high and the soil is dry. On the top of the cave, there is a transparent crystal inlaid with a faint white light. It is precisely because of these crystals that the cave there is no darkness in it. The cave is filled with many stone pillars connected to the top of the cave. These stone pillars are of different sizes. There are some green plants spreading on the upper half of the stone pillars. This place looks like a small underground world. Noticing Kalea, who stopped in front of her, Angia silently waved her dragon wings and flew forward. Entering the land of white light, Angia raised the dragon's head and looked first at the crystal pillar emitting white light at the top of the cave. Although these crystal pillars seemed to be emitting white light, she did not feel the presence of magic power fluctuations on these stone pillars. Rather than the magic stone mine, it was more like something radioactive. Thinking of this, Angia couldn't help but feel a little regretful. It would be great if these crystal pillars were magic stone mines, so that she and Kalea could be stationed here directly. As for the red dragon species, Snort. Who cares about him? Angia looked away from the crystal pillar and looked at the green plants growing on the stone pillar. The dragon wings vibrated, and Angia flew directly to the nearest pillar in front of her, stopping in front of the green plants. These green plants growing on the stone pillars are round in shape, and the leaves look very full. The food in this food has the same radioactive power as the crystal. This thing should have grown under the radiation of the crystal. Goo! At this time, my hungry belly protested again. Maybe these would taste good. The moment such an idea came up, Angia had already opened the dragon's kiss and bit into it. The open dragon's kiss directly bit off a large piece of green plant from the stone pillar. Just like the appearance of these green plants, These green plants are plump and juicy. Advertisement. Chapter 13. The juice spreads in the dragon's kiss and has a slight sweetness. It's not rich, but it is indeed sweet. Not only does it look good, but it also tastes good. This can be considered a good food. Just when Anjia was about to take a second bite, there was a sound of wings flapping behind her. Anjia, what are you doing? Hearing Idiot Bai's voice, Anjia tilted her head to glance at Idiot Bai with her peripheral vision, and then used her own actions to tell Idiot Bai what she was doing. The blue dragon's kiss opened and tore off a large piece of green vegetation from the stone pillar again, and the dragon's kiss began to chew it. Kalea, Omega, looking at this scene, perhaps because she was too shocked, Kalea's pair of white vertical pupils were focused to the extreme. Then she incited a pair of chubby white dragon wings and instantly moved away from Anjia in front. After stopping, she looked again. Xiang Anjia's eyes showed undisguised disgust. You are actually a vegetarian. Noticing the look of disgust in Kalea's eyes, Anjia didn't care at all. This idiot was really stupid. He was almost starving to the point of becoming an earth dragon. So what's wrong with her eating some vegetarian food? Then tell me why I can't be a vegetarian? Of course we can't be vegetarians. We are dragons, the greatest race. Great dragons should eat meat. Kalea held her dragon head high, her pair of bright white vertical pupils full of seriousness. But when she looked at Anjia, she immediately turned into disgust. Is this idiot still not understanding our current situation? You're lucky to find food in this damn place. She actually dared to dislike him. What a stupid white fool. While cursing secretly in her heart, Anjia did not forget to open her dragon's kiss again and bite off a large piece of green plant from the stone pillar. Then you don't have to eat. I'm hungry, so I eat. After Anjia said that, she turned her head and stopped looking at Kalea. The two dragon claws began to cut on the stone pillar. These green plants are all leaves growing on a vine. The vine is wrapped around the stone pillar. She only needs to cut off a section with her claws, and she will soon get a large section, which is very convenient to collect. While she was busy, Anjia subconsciously thought of the arrogant red dragon. Even the red dragon species shouldn't be able to find food in such a ghost place. The dragon's claw once again cut off a section of green plant. Looking at the green plant in its claw, Anjia couldn't help but split the dragon's kiss. But I am different. I can be considered to have gained something. Thinking of this, the slender blue dragon tail hanging behind him began to swing slightly from side to side unconsciously. She had decided to eat enough first, and then bring some green plants back so that Augustus could have a clear understanding of reality and who was the most capable dragon. And maybe when you go back, you can just see that guy chewing dirt because of hunger. The image of Augustus lying on the ground and chewing dirt automatically appeared in his mind. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel very happy. At the same time, the long and winding blue dragon tail also swung faster unconsciously. Looking at Anjia in front of her, who had her back turned and no longer paying attention to her, Kalea's white vertical eyes condensed. Then she turned her dragon body and flew into the depths of the cave. The great Kalea doesn't want to be a vegetarian. The great lady Kalea is a noble dragon species who eats meat. And there must be someone deep in this cave who would be honored to be the food of the great lady Kalea. After flying for about 5 or 6 minutes, avoiding the tangled stone pillars along the way, a large cave about 100 meters wide appeared on the ground not far ahead. Seeing another cave appear, Kalea's vertical eyes froze for a moment. Advertisement, it's a new cave. And there is a magical smell in this cave. Food, definitely food. Kalea turned the dragon's body and swooped down, directly showing the domineering power of a giant dragon, head iron. At this moment, pairs of scarlet eyes suddenly lit up in the cave, densely packed in a large area. A red figure instantly jumped out of the cave and pounced directly on Kalea, who was swooping down. It was moving very fast and looked like just a blurry red shadow. The white vertical pupils condensed into a vertical line in an instant, and Kalea saw clearly what was jumping towards her. It was a spider, and its size seemed to be about 4 meters. It has a large round belly unique to spider monsters, covered with spikes, and its 8 legs are as sharp as a root-tip spear. It has a small head, but it has a set of fangs and a pair of sharp mouthparts. It has 8 claws above its head, a blood-red compound eye. This spider is quite cute, and would be a great food for Kalea-sama. Kalea's dragon body directly collided with the spider. After the two bodies paused for a moment, Kalea directly pressed the 3 pointed legs of the spider in a crushing posture, but the remaining 2 pointed legs where the scratched white dragon scales penetrated into the dragon's body, but only penetrated a little before getting stuck. The pain from the dragon's body did not scare Kalea, but made her even more excited. A pair of bright white vertical pupils had condensed into a vertical line, and there was no longer any stupidity in them but were completely covered in indifference. Holding down the spider monster, Kalea flapped the pair of dragon wings on her back and dived directly towards the ground. Boom! The earth let out a mournful cry, and the 8-legged red spider was pressed hard to the ground. The powerful force even made a hole appear on the ground. Hiss! The pinned 8-legged spider screamed in pain, and a lot of red blood spurted out of its mouth. But soon his pain ended. Kalea's round dragon head opened directly and bit the 8-legged spider's head. Pfft! With blood splattering everywhere, Kalea bit off the entire spider's head with this violent yet effective bite. The neck of the 8-legged red spider that had lost its head instantly spurted out a large amount of dark red blood like spring water. At the same time, its body was helpless and limp on the ground, apparently dead. Pooh! Kalea spat out the head of the 8-legged spider. This food is sour and not tasty at all. At this moment, several red figures jumped out of the cave together. The 8-legged red spiders landed almost at the same time. They raised the 2 front legs and directly surrounded Kalea, the territory intruder. Seeing more spiders, Kalea was not afraid at all, but excitement flashed in her bright, indifferent vertical pupils. More food. The moment the idea came to her mind, Kalea pounced directly on an 8-legged red spider directly in front of her. The 8-legged spider that was selected as the target did not dodge, but raised its legs high in a defensive posture. But its thin arms and legs were obviously no match for Kalea. Almost as soon as it was hit, the 8-legged red spider was directly pressed to the ground by Kalea. At this same moment, the other 7 8-legged red spiders all rushed forward together and pounced on the intruder who had his back turned to them. Advertisement. Chapter 14. The moment she knocked down the 8-legged red spider, Kalea opened her dragon's mouth and bit it at the same time. This time, she still bit the spider's head, because biting the head is the most effective attack. Poof! As a drop of dark red blood spilled, the 8-legged Starscream, which had lost its head, stopped resisting and its body went limp. Before she could spit out the spider head, the next second Kalea felt her back sink, followed by a stab of pain. More than a dozen pointed feet pierced into the white dragon's body almost at the same time. The 7 8-legged spiders tried to use their usual methods to tear the intruder into pieces, but after just one try, they had to recognize the current situation. That just can't be done. The intruder's muscles were as hard as stones. The pointed feet they penetrated were stuck inside and remained motionless. The moment they reacted, the 7 8-legged spiders tried to pull away their feet and distance themselves to attack again. 7 8-legged spiders pulled away at the same time. Even though they were very fast, there was still one unlucky one who didn't have time to pull away. The 8-legged spider on the left was held down by Kalea's chubby dragon claws. The pain radiating from everywhere on the dragon's body made Kalea very angry, and this claw had almost no power left. Poof! The 8-legged spider's head was crushed like a watermelon. After killing the damn bug, Kalea turned the dragon's head and opened its kiss, and a white cold current spurted out. The 8-legged spider standing on Kalea's back was instantly covered by the breath of frost. Its body was quickly covered with a layer of white frost, and its body gradually lost its ability to move. After getting rid of the spider on her back, Kalea rolled on the spot. This roll directly turned the ice sculpture spider on her back into skin fragments. Almost in the blink of an eye, 3 of the 8-legged spiders were eliminated, leaving only 5. Kalea got up again after rolling around, and her pair of bright white vertical pupils that had already been filled with fierceness and indifference locked tightly on the remaining 5 insects. It hurts so much. These damn bugs dare to hurt the great Lady Kalea. They all must die. Ouch! With a dragon's roar that echoed through the cave, Kalea took the initiative to attack again. Similarly, Angia, who was collecting green plants at this time, paused with her claws, and then moved the dragon's head to look in the direction of the roaring sound. The direction is towards the depths of the cave. It was Kalea's roar, with anger in her voice. So what must have happened to Kalea? Prey? Or dangerous? Want to go see it? There was hesitation in the blue vertical pupils. Since Kalea can roar, it means that the prey is not too dangerous. At least it cannot kill her with one hit. Well, so you can go and have a look. She knew in her heart that Angia was going to take a look. But before that, Angia lowered the dragon's head. The blue dragon's body was already covered with circles of green plants. It looked like a human wearing a suit, an average skirt, It's not pretty to be honest. Do you want to throw these things away? After hesitating for a while, Anjia gave up the idea. She still hoped to show off these plants in front of Augustus. Kalea must have encountered some kind of magical beast. Since it was a magical beast, it must have been food. But there might be an existence that she couldn't defeat, so she didn't throw them away yet, and just carrying these things wouldn't be a burden to her. A pair of blue vertical pupils condensed slightly. Wanting to understand, Anjia vibrated a pair of blue dragon wings on her back. After flying for about 2 minutes, Anjia found Kalea. She was in front of a cave. At this time, Kalea didn't seem to be in good condition. The dragon scales all over her body seemed to be in tatters. However, there were also many spider corpses lying on the ground. It seemed that Kalea should have killed them all. Food? He actually let this white idiot meet him. The blue vertical pupils showed surprise first, and then excitement. They had hunted food, and now they could prove it in front of Augustus. Advertisement in front of Kalea. There were 3 8-legged red spiders that appeared to be intact and were staring at her. High-level Warcraft? The blue vertical pupils condensed slightly. The levels of Warcraft are generally divided into low, medium, and high. The higher up are the ring levels, from ring 1 to 10, and going up is the general sequence. Not everyone can reach this stage, and it is not accessible to little dragons like them for the time being. No, it's more than that. With her peripheral vision, she glanced at the large dark cave next to her. Inside, she felt the existence of a larger magic power, and this magic power was about to stir, and it was obvious that it was about to be awakened. This discovery was like a cold current in the ice field outside, instantly making Anjia feel cold all over. There is at least one being below the ring level and above. After knocking down an 8-legged spider again, Kalea bit it with a dragon kiss stained with dark red blood. The 8-legged spider that lost its head stopped moving in an instant. At the same time, Kalea also felt a heavy weight on her back, followed by pain, and 2 more knife legs pierced into her dragon body. Just as Kalea was about to counterattack, she felt the dragon's body sink suddenly. She couldn't stand and fell directly to the ground. Why are you so dizzy? Why did the thing in my sight become 2? A look of confusion appeared in his bright white vertical pupils. If Kalea could pay attention to the wounds on her body, she would find that all the wounds have turned dark purple, which is a sign of poisoning. Tap! 2 8-legged spiders walked up to Kalea and raised their 2 long forelimbs like knife tips, ready to aim at the dragon's head for a last-ditch attack. Just at the moment when the 8-legged spider's front paws were about to fall, a blue figure came galloping over. Poof! The 2 8-legged spiders were instantly crushed by the blue dragon's claws, and at the same time, the blue dragon's claws stepped on the 2 8-legged spiders and fell to the ground. Anjia, why did you become 2 people? But even if you become 2, we can still have enough to eat. Look, I killed so many big spiders. Hearing what this white fool said, Anjia really didn't know what to say at this moment. This white fool was also a giant dragon after all. Did he really have no brains at all? How about engaging in melee combat with these poisonous spiders? He's not a red dragon like Augustus whose brain is filled with muscles. If he makes full use of his flying advantage, he won't be as miserable as he is now. But now is obviously not the time to scold this guy. The guy under the cave is about to wake up, and the magic power fluctuations underneath are becoming more and more obvious. Now this white idiot obviously couldn't even stand up, let alone fly. After a pause, Anjia walked up to his back with her claws and picked up a pair of dragon wings on Kalea's back. Then he unfolded a pair of blue dragon wings on his back. Follow me, let's get out of here. Anjia glanced at the spider corpses on the ground with her peripheral vision. It was a pity that they couldn't take away so much food. Ouch, why are you leaving? There is so much food here. Boom. At this time, there was a huge movement below the cave, and the earth was shaking slightly. The big guy below is coming out. Realizing this, Anjia directly unfolded a pair of blue dragon wings and took Kalea away from the ground. Kalea is a little heavy, but the impact on her is not that big. Ouch. Ouch, my food. Don't worry about your scrap food. There are high-level monsters coming out. Anjia cursed as she flapped her wings vigorously. Then kill it. The dragon breed has nothing to fear. Hearing by Fool shouting, Anjia felt her teeth hurt from biting her teeth. Sure enough, she shouldn't have taken this by Fool with her. Just let this guy feed the monsters like this, and he can also take away a spider corpse, by the way. But now that I have all the belts, that's all. Everything depends on the situation. If the high-level monster behind you can catch up, then just throw away this idiot and feed it to buy yourself time. Advertisement. Chapter 15. Boom. An 8-legged spider that looked similar to an 8-legged spider rushed out from the large cave at the back. It was very large, nearly 100 meters in size, and its entire belly was emitting a strange red light. It looked very hard, as if it were covered with silk. It looks like a dark iron frame. After the big spider rushed out of the cave, it immediately locked onto the two intruders flying in the cave. The next second, the long 8 legs started to move instantly. Boom. Wow. In an instant, the stone pillars in the cave suffered one after another. Under the rampant movement of the big spider, everything that blocked its progress was smashed into pieces. Hearing the sound of movement from behind, Anjia's heart sank, and she silently increased the frequency of the dragon's wings flapping, trying her best to increase her speed to the extreme. The sounds of movement behind him were getting closer. However, there is the cave exit immediately ahead. With the size of this spider mother, the cave will definitely not be able to accommodate it. There's a chance. Whoosh! Anjia, carrying Kalea, rushed into the cave exit smoothly. Boom! There was a loud crashing sound from the cave behind, and in an instant, many scattered gravels fell directly from the rock wall above the cave exit. Anjia nimbly avoided all these falling gravels. Kalea, who was lifted up and slipped into her claws like a pendant, tilted her dragon head and glanced back. Anjia, it's stuck. Let's go back and kill it. Kill. Now I almost want to kill you. If I didn't see you being useful, I wouldn't care about you. You idiot. Anjia just treated the idiot as farting and flew forward silently. Chi-Chi. Seeing that the two snacks were getting further and further away from her, the 8-legged spider mother let out 2 unwilling roars and then silently pulled out her body from the entrance of the cave and returned along the original path. When she reached the front of the cave, the 8-legged spider mother stopped. He stepped forward and looked at the corpses of children on the ground. A pair of scarlet compound eyes on his head had bursts of red light. It lowered its head sadly and approached the body of a child. The next second it opened its big mouth full of sharp teeth and took one in one bite. Chew twice with a big mouth and then swallow directly. The taste of children is really good. I will have more next time. After eating all the corpses of her children in one breath, the 8-legged spider mother then crawled back into the underground cave with satisfaction. Soon the underground cave returned to peace. At this moment, the crystal at the top of the cave lit up with an even more dazzling pure white light. All the damaged stone pillars gradually floated up and reorganized. This process probably lasted less than a few minutes, until everything in the cave returned to its original state. The crystal returned to calm, and the brilliance returned from dazzling to normal. In the dragon's nest on the cliff, Augustus, who was sitting in the cave, slowly stopped eating. Most of the headless baby elephant had been eaten, and now only the 2 hind legs and the rear half of the body were left, as well as the internal organs scattered on the ground. Without exception, these internal organs were all frozen to a solid state. He sat upright, with his back paws spread out, and his left paw stretched out to touch his round belly. He felt carefully that his belly was about 80% full. He was no longer hungry and was full. Looking at the internal organs scattered on the ground, August stretched out his dragon claws and grabbed the baby elephant's watermelon-sized heart. The dragon's claw gently squeezed it, and it felt hard. To be honest, the taste of frozen meat didn't make August feel that good. By the way, don't you have the magic of flame spear? I can also barbecue. Just do it when you think of it, since you are already full. Advertisement: the fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly, and in the next second, many fiery red light spots condensed directly in front of August's dragon head, which was a sign of the condensation of the fire element. The light spots quickly condensed into a ring of flames in front of the dragon head. The ring was covered with various complex and jerky-looking magic patterns, and a flame spear quickly condensed at the center of the ring. He raised his claws and directly took out the 3-meter-long flame spear and inserted it into the soil in front of him. The heart held by the other claw was inserted directly into the spear. Zizi! Suddenly, the smell of barbecue filled the air. But after a while, the taste started to feel a bit wrong. I'll go. I'm confused. Seeing that the edge of the heart had become charred, Augustus quickly stretched out his claws and took the heart out of the spear. It seems that you can't stick it directly on top and bake it, otherwise it will burn. After learning the lesson just now, Augustus could only hold his heart with his paws and get close to the flame spear to roast it. The temperature emitted by the flame spear may be very hot for ordinary creatures, but for August, who is a red dragon, this can only be regarded as a low temperature. Even soaking in lava is only comfortable for the red dragon. just soaked in a hot bath in comfortable clothes. Hoo-hoo. At this moment, something different came from his ears. Accompanying the sound of movement were two familiar scents. August, who was sitting in front of the flame spear, raised his dragon head and looked at the entrance of the cave with a pair of red vertical pupils. In sight, the blue baby dragon Angia flew in carrying the chubby Kalea. Are you back? Wait, what is this smell? The red vertical pupils condensed slightly. The smell of blood. They seem to be injured? Inciting her dragon wings to fly into the cave, Angia immediately saw Augustus sitting in the cave with half of the beast's corpse beside him. A flash of disappointment flashed across the blue vertical pupils, but soon returned to a calm expression. Angia controlled her body and flew to less than 5 meters in front of the red dragon species, landing slowly. When she was still 2 or 3 meters away from the ground, Angia let go of Kalea. Boom! Even after it fell to the ground, Kalea did not open her eyes and was still sleeping soundly. After letting go of Kalea, Angia slowly landed on the ground. This distance was considered a safe distance for the time being. She didn't want to get close to August if she could, but August was very warm around him. Not to mention that August had a flame spear inserted in front of him, which made the temperature around him even higher. After her claws landed on the ground, Angia turned around and lay down with her back to Augustus. A pair of blue dragon claws pulled up the green plants on her body. Carrying Kalea back all the way consumed a lot of her energy, and her stomach was already in a state of hunger. While August was roasting the heart in his paws, he looked at Angia, who was lying in front of him with his back to him. Judging from her movements, Angia seemed to be chewing on the plants she brought back. TSK, how miserable. The fiery red vertical pupils spread with pleasure. However, the fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly again. The two dragons must have discovered something. Augustus looked at Kalea, who was sleeping soundly next to Angia. There was a lot of blood on her body, and her white dragon scales had basically changed to a different color. This made her she looked like a blood dragon. Judging from the taste, it was a small amount of dragon blood mixed with a large amount of magic beast blood. They must have discovered a group of magic beasts like themselves, and this group of magic beasts is different from the ice elephants. Their individual combat power must not be strong. Otherwise, they would not be able to kill Kalea, a white fool. Advertisement. Chapter 16. But I don't know why they failed in the hunt in the end. It should be that there was someone like the Ice Elephant King in the group of Warcraft. No, I have to trick these two guys out. Compared to hunting ice elephants, it would definitely be easier to hunt the group of monsters they discovered. Sha. Just then there was a rubbing sound in my ears. August's dilated pupils quickly condensed, and he looked at Kalea, who was lying on the ground in front of him. Her heavy eyelids were still tightly closed, but the 4 fat dragon claws were supporting the dragon body and moving forward. The friction sound was caused by the friction of the dragon scales under her body on the ground. This guy, he still looks for food while he's asleep? Or are you pretending to sleep? It smells so good, Eat. Food is right in front. Close, right in front. Kalea opened her dragon's kiss and wanted to bite the piece of meat in front of her, but she couldn't move an inch anyway, just barely able to bite. Damn it. Eat. In reality, Augustus stood upright, and his strong hind paws directly stepped on the round white dragon head, preventing it from moving forward at all. Looking at Kalea, who had the dragon's head stepped on by his hind paws, Augustus' eyes suddenly froze. The white dragon's original pure white dragon scales have been covered with dark red blood. The dragon scales on her back have been basically broken, exposing holes like wounds. The flesh rolled out of the wounds is slightly purple and poisonous. Warcraft? The round white dragon head under its hind paws is still exerting force. This white idiot worked really hard just for a bite to eat, and Angia is so arrogant. She herself was not injured at all, but this white idiot. The red vertical pupils are slightly condensed. In this case, I will give you a bite to eat. Of course, this is not out of pity. I am the leader of the 5-color dragon. How could there be such a thing? I just want to take this opportunity to get news about the new beast group from you two guys. Evil is my nature. Having made up his mind, Augustus raised his head and looked at Angia in front of him. From the very beginning, he noticed that Angia was looking at him. 5 meters away, Angia was still sitting on the ground, but this time she was sitting facing August. He met Angia's eyes. Augustus controlled the long and winding fiery red dragon tail to rotate in front of him, took aim first, and then calmly retracted the back claws that were stepping on the round dragon head. Ouch! Who attacked the great Lady Kalea? With a roar, Kalea jumped up. Kalea jumped up, her bright white vertical pupils condensed into vertical lines, and her eyes were directly locked on Augustus in front of her. She felt like the guy in front of her had beaten her. Feeling the hostility in Kalea's eyes, Augustus directly brought the dragon's head forward, using his height advantage to look down at Kalea in front of him. You want to steal my spoils? Maybe we should settle the score? Eat secretly? The bright white vertical pupils blinked, and the smell of barbecue came to his nostrils. Smelling this fragrance, Kalea turned the dragon's head and looked directly at August's left paw with a pair of bright vertical pupils. The heart held in the left paw was still roasting, exuding the aroma of meat. It's also sizzling with oil. Eat. Just eat. Advertisement. The bright white vertical pupils spread rapidly. Kalea's aura weakened at a speed visible to the naked eye. The white dragon's kiss opened slightly, and a crystal silk thread hung directly from it. Noticing what Kalea was looking at, Augustus retracted his left paw and approached his dragon kiss. At the same time, the round dragon head of Kalea standing in front of him also moved with his dragon claws, and his eyes seemed to be fixed on the almost roasted heart, unable to look away at all. Holding the heart, August opened the dragon's kiss and took a bite. Click! A very clear voice sounded in the quiet cave. Damn it! Why is it burnt? The smell of paste mixed with bitterness filled the dragon's kiss. But looking at Kalea in front of her, her eyes were looking longingly at her, with a pair of bright white vertical pupils full of desire. Augustus still silently resisted the urge to vomit. After chewing twice, his throat swelled, and August swallowed the first bite of the wonderfully delicious piece of roasted meat. He looked at the remaining roasted heart in his paws, which was covered with a layer of burnt blackness. It was obvious that the fire had not been controlled well. He didn't want to take a second bite of this thing. Augustus raised his head and looked at the white fool in front of him. Want to eat? Uh-huh. The round white dragon head moved quickly, and the crystal silk thread hanging on her dragon's kiss suddenly fluttered around. Don't order it. Don't order it. Here you go. August avoided the thrown silver thread with some disgust, and then threw away most of the roasted heart left in the dragon's claw. The round white dragon head raised up and locked onto the roasted black heart that was thrown over. Kalea used her two chubby hind paws to launch a jumping dragon kiss and swallowed the heart firmly in one gulp. Awoo! Click, click, click. The sound of chewing sounded again in the cave. But unlike August's pain, Kalea ate with obvious relish. Her pair of bright white vertical pupils expanded to the extreme, and the fat all-dragon tail hanging behind her also turned into a sweeper on the spot and swayed left and right. After finishing the roasted meat in her mouth, Kalea once again took the initiative to put the round dragon head in front of Augustus. This time she was not fierce, but looked at Augustus eagerly. Her pair of bright white vertical pupils seemed to be able to speak. As long as she met him, she would understand his meaning. Even if the white fool didn't speak, Augustus could understand what the white fool meant. However, he did not choose to continue feeding, but looked at Angia, who was sitting not far away. The strong red dragon claw raised up and struck at him. Seeing Augustus's actions, Angia had a flash of hesitation in her eyes. She felt that Augustus wouldn't be so kind, and he must be planning something. But after thinking about it, she still stood up. Although these green plants tasted a bit sweet, maybe because they ate too much, the sweetness seemed to have changed a bit, and the taste became a bit bitter. Unappetizing. Looking at the figure who stood up and walked towards him, Augustus' fiery red eyes flashed with a hint of pride. Sure enough, no hungry dragonfly can resist the smell of barbecue. Sit down first. Just like that, the three young dragons sat in front of the flamed spear in three directions. You can eat whatever you like off the ground. Augustus raised his paw and pointed at the internal organs scattered on the ground. If you want to get the information, you must pay something first. At least you must give these two guys a head start. Otherwise, they will definitely not be willing to tell. Advertisement. Chapter 17. Angia didn't extend her paw immediately, feeling that Augustus had no good intentions. Kalea next to her stretched out her claws and picked up two lungs the size of a wheel. She opened her dragon's kiss and bit into them, eating them with gusto. Listening to the sound of chewing in her ears, Angia glanced at August next to her and found that August was watching her closely. Meeting Angia's gaze, Augustus slowly broke the dragon's kiss. Bear it. Keep bearing it. Today I want to see how long you, Angia, can bear it. Kacha kacha. Kalea's chewing sounds continued. Angia glanced at Kalea and realized that in just a moment, most of the lungs held in Kalea's paws had been eaten. No, we can't continue like this. Since Kalea, a white fool, can eat it, why can't he eat it? After all, this was invited by Red August himself. And if you don't eat this guy Augustus, you won't eat it for free. Thinking of this, Angia rushed forward, stretched out her claws towards the internal organs piled on the ground, took out a kidney-like organ and threw it into the dragon's kiss. When Augustus saw this scene, he split his dragon's kiss with joy. That's it, that's it. I thought you, Angia, could tolerate this, but where are you? Even before Kalea finished eating her lungs, she already couldn't bear it anymore. Angia and Kalea started to wolf down their food, and it was obvious that these two guys were really hungry. There was nothing interesting about the eating scene. After watching it for a while, Augustus lost interest and turned his attention to the remaining rear half of the little ice elephant's body. It will take a while for these two guys to finish eating. Waiting is also waiting. It is better to barbecue. Since it is barbecue, grilling skewers are definitely necessary. The slender dragon tail turned in front of him. The end of the sharp dragon tail was sharp, and sections of fiery red heavy armor covered it, reflecting a metallic luster. Well, my tail is so beautiful. Looking at his perfect tail that was like a work of art, after thinking about it for a while, he still gave up the idea of using it as a makeshift kebab. He couldn't bear to part with it. He glanced at the tails of the two young dragons eating next to him. Kalea's tail is as fat as an awl. Well, it doesn't fit very well. Angia's looks like it will fit, but she will most likely not agree. I have to ask them for the address of the new group of monsters later, so it's not easy to force them to do it directly. Forget it, let's just use rocks. I remember that there are many stalactites hanging on this cave, which should be useful. Thinking of Augustus, he stood up and raised his head to look at the top of the cave. As expected, there were many stalactites hanging on the top of the cave, each one looking as sharp as an ice pick. Shasha. Angia stopped eating almost instantly when she heard the noise coming from the side. The blue dragon head stained with blood instantly turned her eyes to look at Augustus cautiously. Quite vigilant. Augustus just glanced at Angia and ignored her. He spread out a pair of dragon wings and flapped his claws off the ground, slowly rising towards the top of the cave. The top of the cave is not high, only about 50 or 60 meters. He flew to the top of the cave, picked out the two sharpest stalactites, broke them off with his claws, and then flew back to the ground. When Augustus flew back to the ground, he found that Angia and Kalea had finished eating, and Kalea was looking up at him with her round dragon head. Augustus understood the meaning from her eyes. It was not enough, and she still wanted it, but she didn't dare to say it for fear of being beaten. This guy is quite cute. Thinking that Augustus glanced at the half-remaining baby elephant on the ground, there was no trace of being secretly moved. These two guys were quite abiding by the rules and performed well. It seemed that they would not be unable to separate them after they were roasted. Two guys in one bite. Although they ate a lot of offal, Kalea and Angia still felt a little hungry. Kalea ate more than Angia. If Kalea was 5 times full, Angia only ate about 4 points full. Advertisement. Still feeling very hungry, Kalea looked at Augustus eagerly. There was still half a baby elephant that was not eaten, but Augustus didn't seem to want to give it to him. Looking at the baby elephant on the ground, crystal dragon saliva dripped down Kalea's dragon kiss again. Angia, who was sitting next to Kalea, had silently untied the green plants tied to her body and stuffed them into dragon kiss. She ate some delicious offal. Now that she eats these green plants, the taste suddenly becomes sweet again. Ignoring Kalea's eager gaze, Augustus sat down on the spot. He stretched out his claws to grab the little elephant with only its rear half left. The sharp dragon claws easily penetrated into the flesh and cut it in two directly from the middle. Then he used 2 stalactites to pierce the 2 legs of the elephant and finally inserted them into the ground, roasted slowly in front of the flame spear. After doing all this, Augustus raised his dragon head and looked at the 2 young dragons, one white and one blue, sitting in front of him. Kalea couldn't look away from her eyes as she stared at the roasted elephant legs. Moreover, this idiot didn't need to fool her. She just needed to deal with Angia, so she thought about shifting her gaze to Angia. She was eating the green plants she brought back with great relish. Could it be that this stuff actually tastes pretty good? Forget it, just taste it, and you will know that Angia has eaten her own spoils. So it is not too much for me to eat some of her plants, right? Not too much at all. The strong red dragon claws were stretched out directly in front of Angia. Facing the red dragon claw stretched out in front of her, Angia could understand what the red dragon meant. It was wanting. A flash of hesitation flashed through her blue vertical pupils, but soon Angia silently picked up a long-length claw. Green vines are stuffed into the red dragon claws. She felt that even if she didn't give it to him, Augustus would take it himself and treat it as an exchange. He retracted the dragon claw and looked at the green plant inside the claw. Augustus tentatively opened the dragon's kiss and bit off a piece. Ah woo! The fragrance of plants mixed with a hint of sweetness filled the dragon's kiss. It's actually sweet, and the taste is surprisingly good. Wait, sweet? A bold idea came to him. He looked at the 2 elephant legs that were being roasted on the ground in front of him. He seemed to have found the ingredients for the barbecue. Russell, with a green plant in her mouth that she hadn't finished yet, Angia watched silently as a slender dragon tail covered with fiery red dragon scales stretched out in front of her and rolled up all the green plants. Looking at the red dragon next to him, he saw that this guy was staring intently at the barbecue in front of him, without even looking at himself. I can't beat him. I can't beat him. If I have a conflict with this guy now, I can only get beaten. Please hold back for now. Abominable red dragon, you like barbecue, right? When I become stronger than you, I will definitely let you barbecue every day. Don't stop for a moment. The blue dragon's head lowered silently, and Angia felt furious in her heart that she would humiliate this red dragon severely in the future. Leave with the guts? How could she leave? The temperature emanating from the flame spear was warm here. Why should she go to other damp and cold places in the cave? Besides, she was taking advantage of this guy anyway. At this moment, a dragon claw covered with red dragon scales stretched out again, grabbed the half of the green plant vine she was holding in the dragon's kiss, and then pulled it. The blue dragon's head was pulled down hard by this huge force. Hateful. What a bully to the dragon. With depression, Angia lay on the ground silently. Teach August a lesson? How is it possible? If you really pounce on him, you will definitely get a beating in vain. After grabbing the last bit of vines, August wrapped it around the legs of the roasted elephant in front of him with satisfaction. Great. Now the next step is to wait for the meat to cook. Looking at his masterpiece in front of him, Augustus' eyes showed a look of satisfaction. 2 roasted elephant legs were stuck in front of the flame spear, and their legs were already wrapped with circles of green vines. Under the burning of the flames, the full leaves of the green plants burst open little by little, and the green juice that sputtered out was like nectar. It usually falls on the elephant's legs, causing the aroma of barbecue to become stronger several times in an instant. The red dragon kiss suddenly split with pleasure. Maybe I really am a barbecue genius. Advertisement. Chapter 18. Okay, everything that needs to be done is done. Now it's time to get down to business. The red dragon head was raised, and Augustus looked at the 2 young dragons beside him. Kalea was already lying on the ground, with 4 claws on the ground. Although it looked like a lizard, this was indeed the favorite of the giant dragon species. Resting posture, he is the same. Kalea's pair of round white vertical pupils stared straight at the 2 roasted elephant legs, with a desire that anyone could see in them. However, in less than a moment, the crystal dragon saliva had already gathered under her dragon head. There was a small pool of water. There is so much water for this guy. He looked away and looked at Angia lying on the ground next to him with a look of boredom on his face. This is different for Angia. She can really tolerate it. If a serious blue dragon were robbed like this by me, no matter whether it could survive the fight or not, it would have definitely jumped up and started a fight with me. Noticing Augustus' gaze, Angia slightly raised her dragon head, and her pair of blue vertical pupils looked at each other with Augustus's pair of red vertical pupils. This guy must have had a purpose to show his kindness to her and Kalea, and now it was obvious that the time had come for him to reveal his purpose. What does he and Kalea have that deserves this guy's favor? It seems that they only have information about green plants and those 8-legged spiders. If this is the case, this guy August may be disappointed, and at least the 8-legged spider mother will be disappointed. A monster with a level 3 or above was not an opponent they could defeat at this stage. Both the starting point and the upper limit of the giant dragon species are indeed far higher than ordinary Warcraft. They are born with a level and coupled with the unique talents in their own blood. The giant dragon species has the ability to cross levels and challenges just by breaking out of its shell. Force. She is mid-level, Kalea is probably high-level, and Augustus should be about the same. They all have 3 talents. But even this can't change the reality that they are just little dragons now. Even giant dragons need to develop before they can stand at the top. Angia, how about we work together? Augustus went straight to the point. There was no need to be secretive. He was 100% sure that this mutant little blue dragon with many evil intentions would never reject him. After hearing Augustus' straightforward words, Angia moved the dragon's head up and down very simply. Cooperation, must be cooperation. The weather outside is so bad, but if Augustus is there, everything will become different. If nothing else, just say that his one-ring spell is very useful. Seeing Angia nodding in agreement, Augustus broke the dragon's kiss happily. He knew that this smart little blue dragon would not reject him, even if he had just bullied her. From the moment she could endure the provocation she had just provoked, Augustus knew that this blue dragon was very unusual. Since you agreed to cooperate, let's talk about each other's gains. The blue vertical pupils condensed. Here we come. This guy's real purpose is indeed this. Let me talk about mine first. I flew along the front for about 2 hours before I encountered a group of ice elephants. It was a very large group of warcraft, but it was not easy to mess with. The size of an adult ice elephant, they are all about 10 meters tall, with second-level strength, and they also have an ice elephant king, whose third-level strength is close to the fourth level, and I can feel that he is about to advance. I paid a price just to hunt this ice elephant cub. After speaking, Augustus unfolded the dragon wings on his right side. Angia had actually seen the wound on the red dragon wing a long time ago, but she still took another look, and the wound on the unfolded red dragon wing became clearer. It was a puncture wound of about 10 centimeters, circular. It looks like it should have been penetrated by penetrating magic. After showing his wounds, Augustus restrained his dragon wings again, still looking at Angia sitting opposite. I'm done. Now it's your turn to talk about your and Kalea's discoveries. Angia gently moved the dragon's head. Sitting on the ground, her dragon body was slender and looked a little elegant. Advertisement. Looking at this guy, Augustus silently thought of a creature, a black cat squatting on the ground, elegant and calm. Wait, isn't this a little strange? When did the violent guys like the blue dragons become connected with calmness? Just when Augustus was thinking wildly, Angia on the opposite side spoke. Okay, Kalea and I headed towards the back mountain. After flying for nearly 3 hours, we also made a discovery. It was an above-ground cave. The cave sloped to the ground. Inside the cave was a wider underground world. There were many crystals emitting white light on the top of the cave. Those crystals emitted some kind of radiation, but to us harmless to a dragon species. Angia's long and slender blue dragon tail, like a dagger, was raised and extended in front of her. The tip of her tail pointed at the barbecue grilled on the ground in front of her. The greenery you wrap around it was created by that radiation. Augustus glanced at the barbecue that was already sizzling with oil, and then focused on Angia again. He knew that this guy hadn't finished speaking yet. A strange look flashed in Angia's eyes. Augustus was really smart. The red dragon actually started to use his brain one day. I have to say that this was simply a gift from the mother of 5 colors. What does Angia mean? Do you want to whet your appetite? Seeing that Angia in front of him didn't speak for a long time, a flash of irritation flashed in Augustus' fiery red eyes. Suppressing the strange feeling in her heart, Angia quickly continued to speak when she saw that Augustus, who was sitting across from him, had a look of impatience in his fiery red vertical pupils. While I was picking these green plants, Kalea flew into the depths of the cave. She encountered a group of high-level 8-legged spiders. By the time I rushed over, Kalea had almost killed those spiders, but things didn't end there. There was an underground cave in the cave, and an 8-legged spider mother climbed out of it. Its size was very large, nearly 100 meters. Judging from the magic power fluctuations, I felt that the spider mother should be 3 to 5 in size. Ring strength. The moment it rushed out of the underground cave, I had already pulled Kalea away in advance. In the end, the 8-legged spider mother was stuck because the exit of the cave was too small. It could no longer pursue it, and Kalea and I also, so I was lucky enough to escape. Gone. Augustus' fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Gone. Angia, who was sitting opposite, gently moved the blue dragon head up and down, elegantly and calmly. Augustus, I always feel like I'm at a bit of a loss, but this information does have some value, although it doesn't feel like much. I carefully felt the magic power in my body, and the magic power of time was already full again. Time enlightenment, let me go. You have obtained some new information from Angia. This information is true. You should go to that cave to take a look. You may be able to find something different. This time revelation is a bit like a charade, but from the perspective of the revelation, it seems that I have to go to that cave. What could be the different things? I didn't expect it, forget it, don't think about it anymore. I'll find out when the time comes. Anyway, if it's just a 3-ring spider, there won't be any danger if you don't wander around. And Angia has already said that the 3-ring spider is restricted by the terrain, so in theory, the danger is not great. If you really can't, just do some time revelation before entering the cave. After thinking about it, Augustus raised his head and looked at Angier in front of him. He always felt that he seemed to have lost a bit, but now that the matter was over, he just thought of investing in these two guys in advance. You can always get your capital back with interest in the future. Since it's cooperation, let me give my opinion first. That group of ice elephants is not easy to mess with. I think we should go hunting in that cave. The green plants you mentioned sound like they're the main food of some creatures. Did you find any signs of being eaten when you picked them? Advertisement. Chapter 19. Is this what a red dragon should say? Is this guy in front of me really a red dragon? He can't be a green dragon with red scales. Angie's eyes showed a hint of suspicion. She deliberately withheld this information just to test whether Augustus would notice it. Even if Augustus didn't ask, she would tell it in the end. After all, now the top priority is to cooperate to survive, and it's not time for internal fighting yet. But the result was quite unexpected. This red dragon species actually noticed this problem on his own. Noticing Angie's slightly condensed vertical pupils, Augustus's heart sank. Sure enough, Angier, the bad guy, didn't finish all the information, and his fiery red vertical pupils revealed an undisguised look of disdain. This bad guy Angier is dishonest. Ignoring August's disdainful look, Angier continued to speak. The inside of the cave is like an underground world. There are crisscross stone pillars everywhere. These green plants grow on those stone pillars. Judging from the traces, almost all the green plants on the stone pillars have been eaten away until only the stone pillars are left. There's still some left at the top. At the same time, when I flew into the cave, I saw a lot of messy animal footprints on the ground. If you want food delivered to your door through green plants, you may be disappointed. Judging from the traces, I am more inclined to think that this is an underground cave visited by a herd of beasts. They have eaten everything that can be eaten in the cave. The green plants then began to migrate to the next gathering place. And I guess there should be more than one underground cave like this in this ice field. Angier said in one breath what she knew, including some guesses in her mind. Since they were cooperating to survive, it was best to be honest. This land is covered with endless cold ice fields, and all that can be seen on the ground is ice and snow. But there are still creatures that can survive in this situation. In addition to the cave that he and Kalea discovered, it is not difficult to guess that there is definitely more than one underground cave in this ice field. The creatures in the cave also rely on these underground caves to survive. When one cave is finished eating, then move to the next cave. Augustus looked at Angier in front of him and wanted to hit her with another time revelation to confirm, but the time magic in his body did not recover so quickly. However, he did not deny that what Angier said was quite reasonable. Okay, what you said makes sense, and I'm very satisfied with the information you gave me. Now I formally propose that we work together. Staring at the blue baby dragon in front of him, Augustus stretched out his paw, palm up, in front of Angier. This is a covenant-making ceremony belonging to the dragon species. When a giant dragon stretches out its claws towards another giant dragon, it means proposing an alliance to the other party. This kind of alliance generally does not cause problems. The characters of the giant dragons are very complicated, but they have one thing in common. It is arrogance. As overlord-level dragons, they have more or less arrogance in their character. They never bother to make problems with the covenant of the same race, nor will they violate it. Facing August's extended paw, Angier raised her paw and placed it on the red dragon's claw without any hesitation. Both dragons agreed, and Kalea was the only one left in the cave. Almost at the same moment, Augustus and Angier turned their heads and looked at Kalea. Dragons have a natural sensitivity to the eyes that are looking at them. Kalea is a little stupid, but her instinct as a dragon is not weak at all. This can be seen from the battle in the cave. Feeling that two eyes were looking at her, Kalea, who was lying on the ground, raised her round dragon head, and her pair of diffuse white vertical pupils slightly condensed to look at August and Angier. Why are the two of them looking at me? The round white dragon head moved slightly, and then Kalea noticed the claws of the two dragons touching each other, and in an instant, the bright white vertical pupils spread slightly. Is this? Are they finally realizing the greatness of Lady Kalea? Rustle, 4 chubby dragon claws supported the dragon's body. Kalea moved around from Angier's back to the other side to free herself. The 3 dragons directly formed a triangle. Advertisement: the fat, all-like tail covered with white dragon scales was raised from behind and placed above the 2 red and blue dragon claws that were joined together. Seeing Kalea's raised tail, Augustus's fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly. I'm afraid this white idiot is thinking about shit. When the dragon claws are put together, it is a covenant. If the dragon claws are put together and a dragon puts its tail on it, it is loyalty. This is something that only those metal dragon guys will do. Just as the fat, all-like white dragon tail was about to be placed on the two pairs of paws, a red and a blue afterimage flashed in the air. Augustus and Angia slapped their claws hard on the tail of fat, all-dragon in perfect agreement. Snapped. With a crisp sound, the fat, all-like tail was pulled away. Ouch! Kalea let out a childish cry of pain. Her chubby front paws held her tail in her arms aggrievedly and looked at the two dragons in front of her with aggrieved eyes. What are you doing? Then what do you want to do? Augustus' red vertical pupils narrowed slightly, and he asked directly. Noticing the anger in her red eyes, Kalea silently shrank her neck and took a step back with her hind paws. She couldn't hit her, but she seemed to remember something immediately and took another step forward. Hold your head high and speak confidently. Don't you want to be loyal to the great Lady Kalea? Augustus. Looking at the confident white fool in front of him, Augustus saw the clear and pure color in those bright white vertical pupils. TSK, why do you want to discuss this issue with this idiot? The slender and sinuous fiery red dragon tail extends out and wraps around the round white dragon head and neck, and then pulls directly. Zitzi. There was a sound of sore teeth on the ground. This was because Kalea was resisting. Her pair of thick hind claws had penetrated deeply into the rocks under the soil, but it was still to no avail. The long and winding dragon tail wrapped around her dragon head was still pulling her towards Augustus little by little, and Gia stood quietly watching this scene. Sure enough, in terms of strength, Augustus completely crushed Kalea, who was also awakened by the third talent. Pulling Kalea in front of him, August turned around and stretched out his right paw to pull out the flame spear stuck on the ground. The spear, which exuded natural temperature, was directly pressed against the side of the round white dragon's head. Hot, hot. Feeling the scorching heat emitted by the flame spear that was almost close to her dragon's head, Kalea stopped struggling. At this moment, fear once again occupied the small high ground of wisdom. The entire dragon seemed to be well behaved, blinking a pair of shiny eyes. White vertical pupils looked eagerly at Augustus. Sure enough, this idiot really doesn't know how to make a dragon without fighting. Seeing that the white fool had behaved himself, Augustus also moved a little distance away from the flame spear held in the dragon's claws. Extend your claws. After hearing the bad red dragon's words, Kalea silently stretched out her chubby white dragon claws. One is enough. Kalea silently retracted her right paw. Advertisement. Chapter 20. Yes, this is what a red dragon species should do. And Jia, who was watching all this silently, couldn't help but judge in her heart. At this moment, Augustus suddenly moved his red dragon head and stared at her silently with a pair of red vertical pupils. The moment she looked into August's red eyes, Angia silently stepped forward and obediently stretched out her right paw to rest on Kalea's. You are so smart. After looking away from Angia with satisfaction, August stretched out his paw and placed it on the two dragons, and the alliance was established. Sanlong has also officially confirmed the cooperative relationship. Withdrawing the dragon's claw, Augustus inserted the flame spear held in his left claw back in front of the barbecue, sat down on the spot, and glanced at the two elephant legs. They looked brown and smoky on the outside. It keeps popping out, as if it's ready to eat. August stretched out his paw and pulled off a piece of roasted elephant leg. Awu! The dragon's kiss opened wide, and before he could bite it, he felt two intense gazes. There was no need to think about whose gaze this was. There were only 3 little dragons in the cave, including him. The red vertical pupils moved a little to the right, and he saw that Kalea had moved to the position beside him at some point. Her eyes were looking eagerly here. To be precise, it should be the barbecue in his paws, the crystal dragon. Saliva couldn't stop flowing from her dragon kiss. Kalea didn't speak. She just watched helplessly. She couldn't be beaten or robbed, so it should be okay to see for herself. Even this bad red dragon couldn't beat herself for no reason. Well, yes, that's it. The other gaze was directed at Angia, the young blue dragon. Although her mouth was tough, she couldn't control her physical honesty. The internal organs just filled her and Kalea's stomachs, but that was all. The feeling of being hungry was not pleasant, especially when there was nothing left to eat after eating a little. These two guys, forget it. Let's give them a little bit. Anyway, I will be full after eating this elephant leg. An extra leg is also a lot, and if these two guys are full, they will be full. Making sure tomorrow's hunt goes ahead, Yeah, that's it. With his red vertical pupils focused, Augustus grasped the middle of the elephant's legs with his two dragon claws. Click! With a crisp sound of bone breaking, the roasted elephant leg was torn directly into two halves from the middle, evenly. Take it. The red dragon claw handed the fragrant barbecue to the round white dragon head. The bright white vertical pupils spread instantly as they looked at the fragrant barbecue handed to him. Here, give it to me? Kalea carefully took a look at the bad. No, it was a good red dragon now. Give it to me? Don't want. Yes, thank you, August. The chubby paws quickly took the roasted meat. The white dragon's kiss opened and he started eating directly, as if he was afraid that Augustus would return and take it back again. Shasha. Hearing the sound of movement, Augustus glanced at the fat, all-white dragon tail sweeping back and forth on the ground. Apart from being a little silly, this white fool seemed quite cute. She even said thank you, which was almost like a certain blue baby dragon. A sharp contrast. Turning his eyes to Angia, who was sitting opposite, Augustus didn't say anything and just threw most of the remaining barbecue in his hand. The blue dragon's claws caught the barbecue firmly. Advertisement Augustus was not surprised by this. He reached out and picked up the remaining skewer of barbecue, and Augustus also started eating. This amount of food is not much for a giant dragon. Even for a young dragon, it only takes 3 to 5 minutes. Perhaps due to the green plants Angia brought back, the barbecue tastes a bit sweet and less fishy. It tastes good, and the texture of the meat is much better than raw meat. Augustus stretched out his big scarlet tongue and licked the oil from the dragon's kiss. This tastes really good. I will bake it next time. While thinking happily, Augustus dispelled the ring of flames on the dragon's head. If the flame spear wanted to maintain it forever, it would need to maintain the ring to provide magic power. It would take about 10 minutes to form a magic thread. Affordable, but not necessary. Because August is going to bed. Without the light emitted by the flame spear, the cave suddenly returned to darkness. But this was not a problem for the giant dragon species. The dragon species' innate ability to ignore dark perspectives is not for nothing. Lying down on the spot, August slowly closed his eyes. When he is sleepy, he should go to sleep. When he wakes up tomorrow, he will go hunting with Biful and Angia. Hunting with 3 dragons is much more convenient than hunting with 1 dragon by himself. In terms of combat power, the 3 of them can even do it easily. In the victory phase, Idiot Bai can act as a tank to attract hatred, and Angia can play support. As for Yi, Fae, as the main DPS, can just play DPS. With everything clearly arranged in his mind, Augustus slowly calmed down his thoughts. Rustle. Half an hour later, there were 2 rustling sounds in the cave. 1 white and 1 blue rubbed the dragon's body and moved next to August. Feeling the warm temperature radiating from August's body, their vertical pupils spread with joy. The bright white vertical pupils and the blue vertical pupils looked at each other in the dark cave, and then pretended not to see each other in a very tacit understanding, and occupied the position next to the red baby dragon, one on the left and the other on the right. In his sleep, Augustus felt that he was in a strange environment. On the left is endless thunderstorm weather, crisp and numb. On the right is endless ice and snow, extremely cold. The thick eyelids covered with fine red scales opened, and the pink eye masks opened, revealing a pair of red vertical pupils. Augustus used his dragon claws to prop up his dragon body. Thinking of the strange dream he had last night, thunderstorms and ice and snow, Augustus subconsciously turned his head and glanced at his left and right sides, but without exception, both sides looked empty. So is this just a dream? Shasha. At this moment, there was a sound of planing deep in the cave. Lifting the dragon's head and following the sound, Augustus saw Kalea and Angia not far away inside the cave, with their backs to this side. Their claws kept digging deep into a piece of soil. Looking at these 2 guys, Augustus felt strange. What were these 2 guys doing? Are you planning to become a full-time Earth Dragon? Are you focusing on stocking up on food? Augustus decided to take a closer look and walked up to the 2 guys with 4 paws. What are you doing? Hearing the sound, Angia and Kalea stopped pawing and turned around to look at August. Look at this, Kalea turned towards August and stretched out her claws. Among the chubby white dragon claws spread out, there were several bugs that looked milky white and about the size of a fist, curled up quietly, with a hint of ice. Elemental magic emanates from above, which basically declares the insect's identity, an elemental insect. In places with high elemental concentrations, corresponding elemental insects will be bred. Advertisement. Chapter 21. Elemental insects, this is a good thing. Eating it can not only increase the magic power, but also increase the corresponding element resistance. Of course, compared with the effect of increasing the magic power, the latter element resistance is really just incidental. But something is better than nothing, especially in this ice field environment. The improvement of ice element resistance also means the improvement of cold resistance, which can extend their activity time in the ice field. August looked at the elemental bugs in the chubby white dragon claws and stepped forward. There were 4 elemental bugs in the chubby white dragon claws. These elemental bugs all looked chubby and curled up into a ball. It looks very flexible, like a gummy candy. The fox eats the book, and the number of elemental insects has been changed. What is this? As he said this, Augustus stepped forward and deliberately pretended to be stupid. It's an elemental insect. I found it on the stone wall when I got up. Then Angia said there was something inside the stone wall, and I dug it up with her. After hearing Kalea's words, August turned his dragon head and looked at Angia next to him. Noticing the gaze cast by the red dragon, Angia secretly stuffed the elemental worm in her paw into the dragon's kiss. But since she was seen, she didn't need to hide it. Her throat twitched slightly, and she didn't even chew. Chewing directly swallowed all the 2 elemental insects in the dragon's kiss. Although she started digging with Kalea, she was not very lucky and only caught 2 in total. TSK, Angia is so selfish. She doesn't know how to share it all. Doesn't it look like I'm the kind of dragon who can snatch things from dragons? I have always been very reasonable, okay? Withdrawing his gaze, Augustus continued to look at Kalea in front of him. Sure enough, compared to Angia, the white idiot in front of him. No, Kalea looked much cuter, with a round head and a pair of shiny eyes. The white vertical pupils are also particularly cute. The long and winding dragon tail quietly rolled up a piece of gravel on the ground and then threw it outward with force. Pa! There was a loud crash outside the cave entrance. Ouch! Hearing the sound, Kalea immediately stretched her neck and tilted the dragon's head to avoid August in front of her and looked out of the cave. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Augustus Dragon Claw quickly grabbed an elemental insect and threw it directly into his dragon's kiss. The moment the dragon's kiss closed gently, Augustus felt a feeling of fluid eruption coming from the dragon's kiss. It was cold and sweet, as if he had taken a bite of ice cream. It tastes really good. Noticing the glances from the side, Augustus glared fiercely at Angia, baring her teeth slightly and revealing her sharp white dragon teeth. I'm warning you not to meddle in other people's business. That's pretty much what it means when translated. Angia looked at Augustus, then turned around silently. Seeing that Angia was so knowledgeable, Augustus' condensed red vertical pupils slightly expanded. You are a little dragon. What was that sound just now? Kalea retracted her gaze and looked at the entrance of the cave. She didn't see anything at the entrance of the cave. There was a hint of disappointment in her bright white vertical pupils. She thought it would be something edible. Very good. Kalea didn't even notice that one elemental insect was missing from her hand. She was indeed a fool. Looking at Kalea in front of him, Augustus raised a pair of front paws and rubbed them in front of him. Kalea, I also want to try the taste of elemental insects. The bright white vertical pupils condensed slightly. Kalea instinctively clenched her spread paws into fists and retracted them. There was also a hint of vigilance in her eyes when she looked at August. August read 2 words from Kalea's eyes, no? But he was not anxious at all. His fiery red vertical pupils were slightly condensed. Moving with emotion and understanding with reason, August planned to use words to influence Kalea. Kalea, think about it. Did you not hunt any prey yesterday? The round white dragon head nodded slightly. Are you hungry because you didn't find any prey? Advertisement nod. Who helped you when you were hungry? Yes, it was me, Augustus. Nodding, the vigilance in his white vertical pupils dissipated. Seeing that suddenly, phew, the situation was progressing. Augustus continued to strike while the iron was hot. This is called mutual help. Yesterday I helped you, and now I need your help, but you want to reject me? Ouch. It seems that is indeed the case. Kalea's pair of bright white vertical pupils showed a tangled look. Then I can only give you one. Done. With a cheer in his heart, Augustus broke the dragon's kiss and revealed a heartwarming and stomach-warming 5-color dragon signature smile. Yeah, just one will do. Hearing August's words, Kalea spread her paws, took out the smallest one, and sent it to August. The smallest? Looking at the elemental insect handed over, Augustus' fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly, but then spread out immediately. Forget it, it was for free anyway. With the joy of free prostitution, Augustus stretched out his claws to take the elemental insect handed over by Kalea and threw it directly into the dragon's kiss. Still the same ice cream flavor. Ouch! At this time, Kalea suddenly let out an exclamation. What's wrong? August looked at Kalea, who was looking for something on the ground with her head lowered. His eyes subconsciously looked at Kalea's spread-out dragon claws. There were 2 elemental insects lying on it, which looked delicious. His throat vibrated slightly uncontrollably twice. No, no, although bullying the white fool is fun, it should be stopped in moderation. Besides, it's not for nothing. At most, I can just take more care of the white fool during the hunt. It's gone. The bug is gone. Yes, aren't they all in your paws? Kalea raised the dragon's head and looked eagerly at August in front of her. Facing the white idiot's pure gaze, Augustus slightly turned the dragon's head unnaturally, not looking at him. But it's missing, no? You must have counted wrong. There are only 3 in total. If you don't believe me, ask Angia next to you. Augustus turned his head and looked at Angia, and Kalea also looked at Angia. Angia. As he was eating melon, it was pulled on him. Facing the eyes with red vertical pupils condensed into vertical lines, he looked at the white idiot who had been deceived. Angia moved the dragon's head decisively. August is right. Look, I told you that you counted wrong. The round white dragon's head lowered, looking at the 2 elemental bugs in his paws. The bright white vertical pupils spread rapidly. At this moment, Kalea felt her head was a little itchy, and stretched out her free right paw to scratch gently. Scratching the round dragon head, I always felt that something was wrong. Is that so? Advertisement. Chapter 22. Of course, can I still lie to you? Eat quickly. After eating, we will go hunting together. From the moment he woke up, Augustus felt that his stomach was only 3/3 full, and it was time to go hunting again. Giving Angia a look, Augustus walked directly towards the cave exit. Angia glanced at Augustus, who was walking in front, and followed him silently. As the dragon who ate the least yesterday, she was the hungriest now. You guys wait for me. Seeing that the 2 dragons had walked a certain distance, Kalea quickly stuffed the 2 elemental insects into the dragon's kiss like a swallow, and the 4 chubby dragon claws fell to the ground and chased the 2 figures in front. August, who was walking at the front, stopped. We have reached the entrance of the cave, but it is still completely white outside, and the cold wind is howling in the air. Feeling the rapidly dropping temperature, Kalea and Angia occupied the vacant seats on the left and right of August in perfect harmony. He glanced at the 2 guys who were shamelessly approaching him, and after thinking about it, he let these 2 guys behave. Anyway, they didn't approach him. They just stood in the empty seat next to him. Today we go to the cave you discovered and try to see if we can hunt those spiders. If you can't beat the big one, why don't you look for the smaller ones to attack? But before we set off, let's talk about our respective talents first, so that we can coordinate later in the battle. I awakened 3 talents: Fire Breath, Fire Gun, and Melee Punch. Without giving the 2 young dragons a chance, Augustus directly stated his talent, then turned the dragon's head and locked his eyes directly on Angia. As long as this Angia dares to say the word no, then he dares to let this guy feel the majesty of the Lord. Angia. Giant dragons usually only have their vertical pupils condensed into vertical lines when they are locking their prey, and now the Augustus in front of her was already in hunting mode. Thunder Breath. Sharp Dragon Claws. Angia talked about her talent. Do you think you, Angia, are knowledgeable and talented? Not that useless. The talent of Sharp Dragon Claw is also good. It has a first-class effect in breaking armor, and most of the monsters have either carapace or scale armor. Now that Angia had finished speaking, it was time for By Fool. August turned his head and looked at Kalea. And yours? While asking, Augustus' eyes inadvertently fell on Kalea's back. The wound on it had been completely healed, and a thin layer of white scales had even grown. It didn't look that thick, it was a bit transparent, and it could be vaguely seen. Pink tender flesh under the scales. Kalea, this lucky white fool, should have a healing talent, Augustus guessed in his mind. Frost Breath. The more you fight, the braver you get and the pain heals. Sure enough, there is a healing talent. August looked very happy at the round-headed Kalea in front of him. Yes, now the team has taken a prototype. Kalea, the idiot, acts as the front row of the tank, and Angia acts as a soldier to provide cover. As for him, he can directly serve as the team's main output core master, and just provide output from behind. It is impossible to fight in close combat, even in this life. As a master, you should just elegantly produce explosive output from behind. Kalea, your talent is pretty good. I'll leave the frontal hunting to you later. Frontal hunting? Kalea tilted her head a little unclearly, but she still gently nodded the dragon's head and agreed. As for Angia, just pay attention to covering Kalea and me, and at the same time, be alert to possible dangers around you. Advertisement in terms of arrangement. August's arrangement was reasonable, but Angia still found a blind spot and looked at August in front of her. What about you? What do you do? Are you questioning me? Augustus directly met Angia's gaze. Facing August's threat again, Angia did not retreat this time. She looked at each other without fear. This was a matter of principle. It was meant to be cooperation. Why were she and Kalea fighting in the front? TSK, this Angia is not good at all. But now is not the time for infighting. Of course I will also make sacrifices. My one-ring magic will become our current highest output method, right? This really couldn't be refuted. Angia looked away silently. Okay, it seems you all have no objections. In that case, let's go. Go to the cave you discovered. By the way, which one of you will lead the way? Huh. As soon as August finished speaking, a blue figure spread its wings and flew out. It was Angia. Since there was a dragon leading the way, Augustus spread his dragon wings and jumped down from the cave entrance without any hesitation. You guys wait for me. Following the sound, Kalea also flew out following the two figures in front of her. After a sleep, the injuries and poison on her body had already been healed to a great extent, and she naturally had no problem flying at all. After flying for about an hour, August saw a large cave appearing on the ground not far ahead. The cave is an entrance, with a sloping shape. It is almost unnecessary to guess that this is the underground cave that Angia and Kalea discovered. Time enlightens you. Under Angia's guidance, you came to the entrance of a new underground cave. Entering inside may bring you some unexpected gains. After receiving the reminder of time revelation, Augustus immediately felt that he had made the right bet. It seemed that he would not be hungry tonight. Silently feeling the magic power, after a deep sleep, the time magic power in his body has reached 50 magic threads, which has increased by nearly half, which means that he will be able to use the time revelation again in less than 20 minutes. August, we're here. Angia in front stopped and turned her dragon body to look at Augustus. Just by looking at each other, Augustus could tell what this guy was planning. It was just that he didn't want to play forward. The thick dragon wings spread out on his back flapped, and Augustus took the lead in diving towards the cave below. Follow up. Looking at Augustus, who actually rushed into the cave first, Angia was a little surprised. She thought that this guy would let by fool explore the way first. Of course, August dived into the cave not because he was reckless, but because of the confidence that time had given him. Since the time apocalypse did not give any danger warning, it already shows that the cave is safe at this time. Listening to the sound of two dragon wings flapping behind him, Augustus continued to fly forward with confidence. This underground cave passage is very wide, and he can fly freely inside. After flying for a while, a bright light appeared in the cave ahead, and the exit was approaching. The sight in front of him suddenly became brighter. The stone pillars connected to the top of the cave are crisscrossed, and there are many green plants clinging to them. The white transparent crystals on the top of the cave exude transparent crystals. These crystals emit some kind of radiation that stimulates the growth of green plants. Everything is exactly as Angia said. Advertisement. Chapter 23. Here we are, the underground cave. The four claws landed smoothly and stopped at the entrance of the cave. Augustus turned his head and looked at Angia, who fell to the right. Where is the cave where spiders come out that you mentioned? I can lead the way. Okay, Angia, you lead the way. Angia gently moved the dragon's head. Just as she was about to move forward, she seemed to have thought of something and looked at Augustus again. Remember to keep an eye on Kalea and don't let her disturb the spider mother. Even if the three of us go together, we are still no match for the spider mother. I know, lead the way. After receiving August's response, Angia stopped talking and walked ahead and started leading the way. She remembered the smell of those spiders, which was a fishy sweet smell, and she just had to follow the place where the smell was strongest. The three dragons walked in a row in the cave for about 10 minutes. Angia, who was walking at the front, stopped in front of a stone pillar. Angia stopped and turned around. We're here, it's just ahead. Angia deliberately lowered her voice, but both Augustus and Kalea could hear what she said clearly. Kalea, who had already been so hungry that she could hardly bear it, couldn't wait to stick her round head forward against the stone pillar. Suddenly Kalea felt a weight on her back. She looked back and found Angia lying on her back. Before Kalea could react, Augustus directly pressed down on Angia's back. The double weight instantly made Kalea quit. She wanted to ask the two guys to get off her back, but a long and winding fiery red dragon tail extended directly in front of her and swayed left and right. Looking at the red dragon tail swaying in front of her, Kalea shrank her neck and calmed down for a moment. Being whipped hurts a lot. The three dragons were stacked high against the stone pillars, stretching out their round dragon heads and looking forward. In front of the stone pillar is the underground cave. There are many eight-legged spiders coming and going at the entrance of the underground cave. There are many of them. These spiders have green plants in their mouths, and they seem to be transporting these things to the underground cave. After a quick count, there were 28-legged spiders busy at the entrance of the cave alone, not counting those hidden in the underground caves. But it is true as Angia said, these eight-legged spiders are not strong, ranging from low level to high level. The ones with the highest current level are only high level, and none of them have reached the ring level. The fiery red vertical pupils slowly condensed into vertical lines, and the dragon's kiss split. This underground cave is really the right place. These spiders are simply the best hunting targets for the three of them. However, hunting must not be carried out directly. Looking at the entrance of the underground cave, I can feel a strong aura below. If I guessed correctly, it should be the spider mother. The aura around the third ring is indeed not something that I can defeat at this stage. However, he could lower his claws from a young age first. Augustus stared at the moving spiders. The strong red dragon claw lifted up and patted the blue dragon head beneath him. The moment her head was patted, Angia raised her head and looked at Augustus. Facing Angia's gaze, Augustus directly spoke out his plan. You are the fastest among the three of us. You will show up later to attract these eight-legged spiders and let them chase you. You will lead them to the exit of the cave. Kalea and I will ambush at the entrance of the cave and wait for you to lead the eight-legged spiders over. Let's start hunting. Angia didn't speak immediately. She just raised the dragon's head and silently stared at Augustus's fiery red vertical pupils. Advertisement Augustus believed that there was nothing wrong with his plan, and his eyes met Angia's without giving in. His plan was almost perfect. Even if the spider mother was alerted, the three of them could leave the cave immediately with some of the prey. It was very safe. However, Angia, who was used as a bait, might be a little dangerous. After all, no one was sure about the spider mother inside. Are you sleeping? But it wasn't a big problem. Augustus believed that with Angia's speed, he could definitely escape. She was able to escape from the spider mother with by Full Fei, and now Elung was of course even more capable. Okay, I'll attract them. Okay, Kalea and I will wait for you at the door. With a flick of the dragon's head, Augustus stepped off Angia's back, then pulled Kalea towards the entrance of the cave. Watching the two dragons go away, Angia withdrew her gaze. In fact, she could also agree with Augustus's plan in her heart. It is true that she flies the fastest among the three dragons in terms of speed because her body is the lightest, but this does not mean that she is willing to take the risk of becoming a bait. But risk is definitely necessary if you want to hunt successfully. Surely August is not willing to take the risk and let Kalea come? Maybe this white fool would rush up and fight the eight-legged spider when his head gets hot, which would be tantamount to sending Kalea to death. So this position fell to her, and it could only be her. August and Kalea had been away for a while, and were ready to take action. With her blue vertical pupils focused, Angia poked the dragon's head out along the stone pillar. The dragon's kiss opened slightly, and purple arcs began to flash around the dragon's kiss. Boom! A thunderous sound echoed throughout the cave. Hearing the sound coming from the depths of the cave, Augustus knew that this was a signal that Angia had begun to take action, and looked at Kalea next to him. Kalea, just fly to this stone pillar and lie down on it. Just wait until Angia comes out with those spiders and take action. The sooner the better. I got it, Kalea responded by spreading her dragon wings and flying up to the stone pillar, her chubby paws tightly lying on the stone pillar, like a gecko. Watching Kalea fly up to the stone pillar, Augustus was not idle either. He looked at another stone pillar and spread his dragon wings to fly up, lying on the stone pillar in the same posture as Kalea. The next thing to do is to wait. After probably waiting for less than 2 minutes, a blue shadow stopped below. It's Angia. The eight-legged spiders that had been chasing all the way saw the intruder stop, and their compound eyes suddenly lit up red. The next second, all the spiders jumped high and pounced on the intruder who stopped in front. At this moment, Kalea moved above the stone pillar. With a sharp kick of its hind paws, the dragon's body rushed downwards at great speed. The two eight-legged spiders that jumped up almost felt their backs sink before they could react, and then they were pushed down and fell quickly to the ground. Almost at the same time, August also made a move, and the dragon body swooped down at high speed. Pfft. The long and winding fiery red dragon tail instantly penetrated the head of an 8-legged spider. The 8-legged spider died before it had time to react. The strong dragon claws also held the heads of 2 8-legged spiders at the same time. Poof! Looking at the fragmented parts in the dragon claw, Augustus was stunned for a moment. Are these spiders that fragile? Advertisement. Chapter 24. After a brief moment of trance, Augustus instantly realized that he was hunting now, not the time to be in trance. The dragon wings waved, and the moment he landed, Augustus rushed in front of the 2 spiders with a running start. Hiss! The 2 8-legged spiders hissed, then jumped towards Augustus, but what greeted them was Augustus's pair of strong dragon claws. The dragon's claws grabbed the heads of the 2 spiders and exerted slight force. Pfft. The 2 spiders whose heads were crushed instantly met the fate of 2 of their kind and collapsed on the ground. At the same time, Kalea, who landed next to her, also knocked down 2 8-legged spiders again. The powerful power of the dragon species was not something that 2 lower-level monsters could resist. The 2 8-legged spiders that Kalea knocked down were killed. Pinned to the ground, their heads were bitten off one by Kalea's open dragon kiss before they had time to break free. Counting those killed by Augustus, they killed 9 8-legged spiders in one go. Hiss! The remaining 3 spiders screamed and roared. Just when Augustus thought that these 3 guys were about to pounce, an unexpected scene happened. 3 8-legged spiders jumped high, but instead of rushing towards them, they jumped back. This is running away. Want to run? After reacting, Augustus just watched calmly, because he knew that these 4 spiders could not escape. Just as the 3 spiders jumped high, a blue figure crossed the top of the cave entrance. Poof! 3 complete spider corpses fell to the ground. Only after they landed on the ground did their heads detach from their necks. The incision looked extremely smooth, and indeed only sharp dragon claws could do it. Looking away, Augustus looked at Angia, who landed smoothly in front of him. Okay, pack up quickly and move these trophies into the cave first. Boom! At this moment, there was a huge noise coming from the depths of the cave. Fiery red vertical pupils condensed, and Augustus reacted instantly. Quick, start moving. While shouting, August himself was not idle. He grabbed the bodies of 2 8-legged spiders with his strong claws and threw them directly towards the cave exit with all his strength. Whoosh! The corpses of 2 8-legged spiders were thrown out like cannonballs. Whoosh! August threw 2 more. Boom! The sound of falling stone pillars behind him got closer and closer. Kalea and Angia each took off early with a trophy in their paws and a trophy in their mouths, and were almost flying into the cave. He lifted up the last 2 trophies on the ground with his claws, spread out his dragon wings, and flew directly to the cave passage ahead with all his strength. Boom! Just as he flew into the cave passage, there was a huge crash behind him. Hiss! A low roar came from behind, along with a terrifying and fierce aura pressing down on him. Advertisement. The waving dragon wings stopped. Augustus flattened the dragon wings and turned the dragon body on the spot. A pair of red vertical pupils that had already condensed into vertical lines stared quietly at the spider head in front of him, which only had one head that could be stuck in the cave. Green juice is constantly flowing out of the huge open mouth, and the densely packed blood-red compound eyes on the top of the head are a complete mental shock. There is a saying that this thing is really ugly. However, the strength does have the strength of a 3rd-level ring, and it is not something that I can deal with for the time being. Looking at the spider mother in front of him, Augustus picked up the trophy in his claws and brought it to Dragon Kiss. He opened his mouth and aimed at the spider's torso and took a bite. Click! Chew the shell and meat together. The taste is a bit bitter and not very tasty. Hiss! Seeing her children being eaten in front of her, the 8-legged spider mother suddenly became even more violent. Her body was frantically trying to squeeze into the cave passage, but how could her nearly 100-meter-long body squeeze into only 50 meters? The cave exit. Boom! The ground in the cave shook, and a lot of rubble collapsed from the cave passage, but that was all. Augustus, who was stationed in the air in the cave, was very calm. No matter how ferocious this spider mother was, she was just a vicious dog chained up. There was nothing to be afraid of. As expected, super-large monsters without strength are just a bunch of mindless things, and the test results have been obtained. So, with a thought, the fiery red circle instantly unfolded in front of the dragon head of August. The red light shone on the fiery red dragon's head. Looking at the complex and familiar magic circle in front of him, Augustus thought, he seemed to be able to fill it with magic power. This is just a feeling without any basis. As long as a spellcaster will understand, magic is fixed since it is engraved. If you try it at will, it may be a bang. Looking at the casting ring in front of him, his flaming red vertical pupils condensed. Since this is the case, I will boldly take a gamble. The worst is to explode. August chose to trust his own feelings, and 100 fire element magic threads were directly injected into the flame ring. The moment the magic power was injected into the ring, it expanded instantly, expanding to 5 times the normal size before stopping. It was twice as big as August's entire dragon body. Raging flames rolled in the center of the ring, and a 10-meter-long flame spear condensed from the flames. The condensation process lasted only 0.5 seconds. The spear was launched the moment it was condensed. A stream of flames elongated in the dark cave. The trajectory of the flame spear's launch left raging flames, and the rock wall was illuminated red. This flame gun, which was concentrated 10 times the magic power, burst out with unprecedented power. Boom! The flame spear accurately hit the 8-legged spider mother's head, and the rows of blood-red compound eyes exploded in the high temperature. Hiss! The 8-legged spider mother let out a wail of pain, and at the same time she reacted and began to quickly retract into the cave. As the flames rolled, Augustus could clearly see the 8-legged spider mother's blood-red compound eyes that exploded due to the flames. The dragon's heart was instantly happy, and its kiss split open. Kalea next to her stared blankly at the raging sea of fire in the cave in front with a pair of bright white vertical pupils. Are these all done by Augusteo? So awesome. The blue vertical pupils condensed into a vertical line. Angia's eyes gradually became complicated as she looked at the fiery red back with dragon wings spread out in front of her. She had thought about how special August was, but she never expected that this guy could actually do this kind of degree. In terms of power alone, the flame gun attack just now was already at the 2nd level and close to the 3rd level. In addition, this level of magical power should not be achieved by a young dragon that has just emerged from its shell a few days ago. And he looked at August, who had his back to him in front of him. His magic obviously went against common sense. The level of magic power should be fixed. Even if it is improved, the power needs to be improved by transforming the order of magic patterns. But what did you see just now? This guy August was obviously just filling the magic ring with magic power, but he actually upgraded the flame gun with the original power of the 1st ring to the peak power of the 2nd ring. But it was such a brainless way that made him succeed. Advertisement. Chapter 25. Hiss! The 8-legged spider mother wailed in pain from the cave, and her voice was still filled with anger, but it seemed that the pain had made her learn to behave, and she did not poke her head into the cave passage for a long time. After waiting for a while, he was sure that the 8-legged spider mother would not stick her head in again. Augustus couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Although this spider mother is a bit stupid, she still seems to have instincts. The attack just now had obviously seriously injured the 8-legged spider mother, and the magic power in her body was still sufficient. If the 8-legged spider mother dared to stick her head in again, he would definitely fire a flame gun without hesitation. Maybe I can kill a spider mother today to try it out. Boom! There was the sound of stone pillars collapsing inside, and the 8-legged spider mother was venting her anger. The sea of fire in front also dissipated. August canceled the casting ring spread out in front of the dragon's body. He would definitely not be able to kill the spider mother today, but time has inspired me to leave you alone. Your attack seriously injured the 8-legged spider mother. She is furious in the cave, but even the severely injured 8-legged spider mother is not something you can deal with at this stage. You can first eat the life crystals in the loot. The core directly enters advanced sleep. This is not difficult for you. It only requires a few tricks of reasonable allocation. Trophies? August subconsciously looked at the 8-legged spider corpses scattered on the ground. Although these 8-legged spiders were as brittle as paper under his, Angia, and Kalea's claws, they were not actually soft. On the contrary, they are very hard, with a dark hard shell on their bodies. Even if they are thrown 100 or 200 meters away and then fall to the ground, there will be no damage. Just a few scratches on the dark hard shell. Including those brought by Kalea and Angia, there were 12 spiders in total. Looking at the spider on the ground, in an instant, I already had a perfect distribution method in my mind. But what needs to be done now is to transport these spiders back to the cave where they broke their shells. The revelation has said that you only need a reasonable distribution method to enter advanced sleep. Since you are going to sleep, you must have a safe environment. The small hole in the shell-breaking land is quite good. The terrain is high. Except for the three of them, there are no traces of flying monsters in this ice field. That little hole couldn't be safer. It's simply the best place to sleep. The hind paws landed smoothly, and he let go of the dragon's snout and the spider held in the front paws. The loot fell to the ground. Augustus did not look at it, but raised the dragon's head and looked at Kalea and Angia, raising his paws to wave. Got the move. Angia and Kalea, who had been flying in the air with their dragon wings spread out, both saw August's movements. Kalea landed in front of August first, followed by Angia. The moment she landed, Kalea let go of the 8-legged spider corpse in the dragon's kiss. The round white dragon head came forward, and a pair of bright white vertical pupils looked at Augustus. What does this little fool want to do? Just when doubts arose in August's heart, Kalea spoke. Ogu, that magic you just did was so powerful. Did you want to praise me? Yes, this little fool is very understanding. He glanced at Angia out of the corner of his eye. This guy is really out of his mind. Shouldn't he agree with me at this time? Of course, I am a serious master. What is it? Advertisement. Just take it as a self-proclaimed statement. By the way, let's get down to business first. After making a casual remark about the little fool, Augustus changed the topic appropriately. He could not wait to go back to the small hole to advance. He looked at the trophies on the ground. There were a total of 12 spiders. It was definitely not realistic to transport them all at once. Even if there is one in their mouth, they can only transport 3 at a time, and there will be 3 left. That is not good. Who knows whether the crazy spider mother inside will send little spiders to pick up the leaks or something. Therefore, there must be a dragon to stay and guard, and of course it must be him, Augustus. There are too many trophies, so Kalea, you and Angia will move them first and then come back. Then we will move the rest back together. Ouch, it's no problem. Kalea had no doubts. Angia glanced at August and said nothing, but she still nodded silently. She could tell that Augustus just wanted to be lazy, but there was no need to point it out. Augustus was the strongest among the 3 of them now, and she and Kalea had to rely on him. Moreover, she now doubts that Augustus is of the same ancestral bloodline as herself. His own bloodline ability is to be able to control his emotions and convert them into reason and wisdom, and the ancestral bloodline ability of Augustus should be the magic just now, which can make the magic power reach an abnormal level of stability. Thinking of the blue vertical pupils condensing slightly, a touch of confidence emerged in them. Humph! Augustus is indeed stronger in the early stage, but that may not be the case in the later stage. By the time, just as Angia was thinking about it, the strong red dragon claw hit her head directly. The huge force caused her dragon body to stumble forward slightly. August, what do you mean? Facing Angia's questioning, Augustus' eyes were calm. He raised his long and winding fiery red dragon tail and pointed silently at the front claws, holding a spider in each hand, and holding a spider in his mouth that had already flown some distance away. Kalea, why are you looking at me in a daze? Why do you want to challenge me? The identity of the young dragon's nest boss is not fixed. Whoever can defeat the former big brother in another challenge will be the new big brother. After saying that, Augustus put the dragon's head in front of Angia and looked down at Angia from a condescending angle. Just now, Angia was looking straight at her. Maybe she was interested in something. Snort. With a childish hum, Angia lowered the blue dragon's head, opened the dragon's kiss, and bit a spider. This bite obviously mistook the spider for a certain dragon, and bit it so hard that even the black hard shell of the spider couldn't resist it, and the snow-white dragon teeth were directly embedded in it. In this way, Kalea and Angia carried them back first, and then on the second trip, August also caught 2 and started to return. The first thing August did after returning to the small hole and landing was to shake his dragon body on the spot. Wow! As the dragon's body shook, the thick layer of ice condensed on the dragon's body shattered to the ground. Angia and Kalea next to them also made the same posture, and the ice layer on their bodies was not much less than that of August. However, their ability to withstand the cold was obviously not as strong as that of Augustus. From the moment they entered the dragon's nest, the 4 small claws supporting the dragon's body could not stop trembling. This was because of the cold, and they flew twice in a row. Shaking off the ice on his body, he glanced at Kalea and Angia from the corner of his eye. After his eyes stayed on the trembling paws for 2 seconds, Augustus straightened up his dragon body and sat down. Then it's time to grill the meat. Advertisement.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.